San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. The Braden Surprenant Show off and rolling on a Tuesday. I don't know if Frank did that on purpose, but the camera for Frank is not working today.
I swear to you, it is not working. I'm trying everything right now to get it working.
What a game last night, especially if you're a San Diego Padres fan. Padres take game one of the three-game series against the New York Metropolitans, and a pretty big game it was. And we've talked about it. The Padres are now part of this crucial 42 of the season. And where we got the crucial 42, and here's the thing. I mean, you could pick and choose different parts of the 42 that you have to complete, right? Because you're going to win 60 games. You're going to lose 60 games. It's what you do in the other 42 that are really going to matter. And there is magic numbers out there already. I don't like diving into this stuff until after the trade deadline. But there is a website that you can check out, playoffstatus.com/MLB. It does the math portion of everything for you in terms of percentage chance of making the playoffs if the Padres do X, Y, Z, if they win X amount of games out of, the 55 games that they have left. And it gives you magic numbers for each spot. Also tells you whether or not you're in control of your own destiny for certain spots in the playoffs and everything like that. So that's all going to be some interesting things that we will monitor as the next 2 months, 2.5 months play out. But as of right now, the crucial 42 for the Padres are 3-2. It's a good start. I said it yesterday. I will continue to say it for the next 2 days. What the Padres have to do is match what the Dodgers do in Cincinnati. That would be ideal. The most ideal situation for the San Diego Padres would be to match what the Dodgers do in Cincinnati. For a couple of reasons. One, you want to stay pace with the Dodgers for the division in the National League West. They're within striking distance. Anytime they're within 5 games, I'll even say 6 games, I think you can be focused on the division as much as you want. That's number one. Number two, since the Padres are 4 games back of the division and looking high to potentially catch the Dodgers, you still got to worry about who's on your tail potentially for the final playoff spot. And as of right now, that is the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds playing the Dodgers this week, obviously an important series that impacts the San Diego Padres. Reds lost game 1 yesterday, which to a lot of people that see that go, oh, bad news, the Dodgers won. The reality is it's good news, the Reds lost. If the Padres win and the Dodgers win and the Reds lose, that's good news for the Padres. You don't lose any ground in the standings behind LA, and you gain some ground on Cincinnati. So at the result of last night, it was good results for the San Diego Padres. Padres won. That's great. Dodgers won. Not so great. Reds lost. That's great. Giants lost. That's also great. And why I mentioned the Giants instead of the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals winning last night over Miami puts them in front of San Francisco by a half a game. St. Louis is looking to shop. St. Louis is looking to sell. St. Louis is not really competing for a playoff spot. But that could be reevaluated after Thursday if they do decide to pull the trigger and buy some assets at the trade deadline. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So as of right now, the Padres have a 2-game lead on Cincinnati, which is great. The Philadelphia Phillies lost, so they're only 2.5 games in front of the Padres. And overall, with the Cubs and the Brewers battling it out for that number 1 spot currently in the National League, the Padres didn't lose any ground on Milwaukee, and they gained a game on Chicago. So the Padres right now sit 5.5 behind the number 1 seed, which that is a pipe dream, obviously. You got to overtake the Dodgers before you can consider that. But the fact that you're only 5.5 games behind the best team in the National League, I think is very telling for the San Diego Padres. So you're 5.5 games back in Milwaukee. You're 4 games back of Los Angeles. And now you're starting to gain some ground on Philadelphia for the number 2 spot in the wild card. It'd be nice to separate yourself a little bit and put some teams behind you before you get to Cincinnati, before you have that final wild card spot. So, at the conclusion of last night, it's a good start to the week. You got to be able to continue that today and tomorrow against the New York Mets. I'm looking for hopefully a 2 out of 3. I don't expect the Padres to sweep the New York Mets. I thought last night was a battle. And that was a good game. I think last night was a game that shows the grit of this team. It went back to grit squad team last night for the Padres. It went back to grit squad. Padres rallied from a 5-1 deficit to beat the Mets 7-6 in walk-off fashion. Obviously showcasing a style of baseball that they haven't consistently played since early in the season. Last night, in a quote that was then reprinted in Kevin Acey's daily newsletter from Jackson Merrill, he called it the best kind of game, and for good reason. It marked only the 3rd time this year the Padres overcame a 4-run deficit, 4 or more run deficit, and the first such comeback since May 27th. It's good that they've been able to rally back. And you're starting to see a little bit more offense for the San Diego Padres too, which is great. We're going to talk about that in our next segment. But after falling behind via a grand slam from Mark Vientos, the Padres exploded for 7 hits and 5 runs in the 5th inning, powered by at-bats that strung together pressure, which we haven't heard in a long time. We haven't seen the pressure in a long time. They played last night's game offensively like we saw in the month of April of not feeling pressure and applying it, like we talked about, like Jackson Merrill said early on in the season. That's why I said when you have that style of baseball and you play that style of baseball, you're very hard to beat. That's a very difficult style of baseball to beat. It's relentless. It wears teams down. So if everybody's contributing, which they did last night, you're set up for a very difficult offense to deal with. Now, the problem with that is you need everybody to contribute. And 7, 8, 9, historically, over the last, I don't know how many of games, really the last couple of months, haven't been able to do that. But the Padres, as mentioned, exploded for those 7 hits and 5 runs. Luis Arraez hit a home run. You rarely see that. And Elias Diaz, by the way, a couple of big knocks yesterday, had a 2-out walk-off single that was obviously highlighted, but he also had a knock earlier in the game that helped lead that comeback for the Padres. Padres went 7 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, a major turnaround after weeks near the bottom of Major League Baseball in that category. Now, you'd like to see a little bit more consistency in that spot, but aside from everything offensively, we didn't even mention the flashing of the leather from Fernando Tatis Jr., who delivered probably 2 just immaculate defensive plays, including a home run robbery that nobody, and I mean nobody, thought was a catch from the get-go. Not a single broadcaster, and I don't blame him. That's hard to call. You have no idea. He goes up, he comes back down. You don't know if he's got the ball or not. All of a sudden, the ball trickles out of his glove on a transition play, and you're thinking maybe he hit it off the wall. But no, Fernando was able to make just a jaw-dropping play to rob Vientos of a home run. Meanwhile, on the pitching side, that was just one of 2 phenomenal catches for Fernando Tatis Jr. Adrian Morejon quietly continued to dominate. He now has a 1.66 ERA and a 162 opponent's batting average, MLB's best strand rate among qualified relievers. And thanks to Kevin Acey for doing the research on that in his daily newsletter. Mike Schilt last night in his press conference praised the conviction and fight in his team, traits that had been lacking through most of midseason. And a key theme in these last couple of weeks in terms of offensive prowess have been the core 5 hitters. Fernando, Manny, Xander, Arraez, Merrill, finally producing at the same time with all showing upward trends since the All-Star break. And even the bottom of the order last night. Jake Cronenworth, Bryce Johnson, Elias Diaz contributed. They went 5 for 9 with 4 RBIs last night at the bottom of the order. That's going to work. That's the type of production you need at the bottom of the lineup. That's why just getting average bats in the order in those particular spots are going to make this offense way better than it is right now. That type of lineup-wide performance has been really non-existent for most of the season. And a great crowd again last night. Expected another great crowd tonight for Petco Park, as you have a first 40,000 in attendance will receive a Sandless beach towel presented by Southwest Airlines. If you got tickets to tonight's game, get down there early. I mean, the Padres with a third straight attendance record probably coming at the end of the year. With last night's crowd, 44 sellouts in 50 home games. Remarkable job, Padres fans. Remarkable job. Padres fans are doing their part. Overall, the Padres offense, 14 hits, 7 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Left 12 on base, but it was just consistent pressure from the beginning to end last night with the Padres offense. Every single time the Mets answer with a run, the Padres continue to answer. It was great to see. Morejon again looked phenomenal. Fernando flashing the leather. They capitalize on New York Met mistakes, and it was a great victory. Now, there was some downsides in there. Obviously, hopefully Dylan Cease is okay, but another just not that great of an outing out of Dylan Cease. High strikeouts, a lot of runs. The other one, too, is Robert Suarez. And we'll talk more about Robert Suarez later on in the show, about what you do with Robert Suarez. I mean, this is kind of the same path he was on last year at the end of the season, where it's like, I don't know if we could trust Robert Suarez in a closing situation. But again, we saw it from Dennis Lynn this morning. We'll talk about it more. Padres still shopping Dylan Cease, shopping Robert Suarez. They're two guys on expiring contracts that are not expected to re-sign here in San Diego during the offseason. Maybe you can get some prospect capital out of them and try to flip it into other spots that are needs for the San Diego Padres. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. We'll talk more about the Padres offense finally turning the corner when we come back, because we're just getting started on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I have seen Josh Edgin fall off the mound. I have seen a walk-off hit by pitch by Scott Schoenweiss. I've seen some of the worst ways. Will Venable walk off in extra innings after Adrizame Despaigne throws 8 no-hit innings. I've seen it all.
Adrizame Despaigne, that is a throwback.
So after last night just doesn't bother you anymore after you see some of that stuff. It just doesn't bother you. It's just expected at this point.
Oh, man. You know what? This is like, this is why you don't root for multiple teams. Obviously, you have to because you don't want to give up your childhood team. But at the same time, you live in San Diego now. So, and you spent a long time here. You know, for me, like, I like the, you know, I respected the Rangers when I was out there in Texas. But I was never going to full bore jump on the Rangers bandwagon.
Well, you weren't from Arlington. You weren't from Dallas.
I know, but I was living out there and working in media. I had to cover the Rangers,
right?
Which was not great. And then so
what you're saying is
I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then now, like, I like the Angels. They're kind of like my American League team. I kind of feel bad for them,
right? But what you're saying is you did the exact same thing that I'm doing now,
except I didn't wear a Padres jersey. You incited a riot yesterday in the chat.
That was the point, though.
I can't believe Jason came back after yesterday.
That was the point, though.
Ready to kick you out of San Diego. That was the point.
I wanted you guys, like I said, I wanted to build this relationship with you guys that it's all in good fun. I wanted you guys to be able to mess with me in this way.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how many times I said it yesterday. I was anticipating the Mets to lose. I said at the end of the show that I am anticipating the Padres to take 2 out of 3. I don't understand why I'm getting so much flack for this when I said, yeah, they're going to lose tonight.
Still haven't heard anything from New York Mike either.
No, I have not seen him, no. I think he said last week that he was going to be at the game tonight.
Okay. Anyway, I had fun with it. I think it was fun. Some people did not have as much fun, especially when Vientos hit the grand slam. Everybody immediately just flipped back to you. Well, it's Frank's fault. It's Frank's fault. But you know what?
Listen.
Makes for good content, Frank. Makes for good content.
Things happen.
That's right.
It's the way it is sometimes.
Speaking of the Texas Rangers, I had a buddy who does media out there. He texted me over the weekend. I didn't get into this yesterday, and we're going to get to the Padres offense here in a second. He texted me over the weekend. I just sent him some shirts. He texted me over the weekend. What do the Rangers have to do to get Tatis at the deadline? I'm like, I'm sorry? He's like, yeah, I think we can align on a trade here because the Padres want to like free up some money. I'm like, excuse me? Nothing? I was like, first of all, he's got a no trade clause. He's like, yeah, I understand that, but like, what does Fernando have to do to waive the no trade to become a Ranger
DeGrom
on Thursday? And I was like, you have nothing. There's nothing that would be worth. Aren't you a Mavericks fan? Don't you understand what happened with the Luka Doncic trade? What? And they're like, well, we need some bats in the middle. I'm trying to come up with some trade proposals for the show.
Well, it's easy. It's DeGrom, Eovaldi, Adolis Garcia, throw in Corey Seager. Why not? Jake Berger's playing for them right now, right?
I think so.
And a couple of top 5 prospects.
All 5 of your top 5 prospects.
Well, there you go. See?
And then maybe I'll consider it. I guess I was
just
like,
gut your entire roster.
Nothing. There's nothing. It's like, well, they're looking for a way to add a middle of the order bat. I said Jake Cronenworth might be available. That was listed. I'm like, no. We need somebody better than that. We need like a guy like Tatis.
By the way, I'm still confused by this. Iglesias bunting in the 9th inning, was it? After Bogarts got the leadoff single.
Yeah, get him a second.
That I understand. Jake Cronenworth, who has a knack for the big moment.
Runners on first and second, no outs.
See 2022 playoffs. See Slaying the Dragon. The at-bat before, they put the stat up on the screen that Jake Cronenworth is 3rd on the Padres all-time postseason hits list. Why is Jake Cronenworth bunting there?
I don't mind him bunting there. He gets the guy. If he does this job, you have runners on second and third with 1 out. Fly ball to the outfield.
Who is more likely to do their job in that spot? Jake Cronenworth, who is used to getting the big hits, swinging the bat, or Bryce Johnson, who is used to bunting in that spot and would not have bunted it to the pitcher up the third baseline.
All right, so Jake Cronenworth grounds into a double play. Now you got a runner on third with 2 outs. I understand the logic there. You got lucky that the Mets their pitchers can't field their position. You got lucky with that with the Iglesias thing, turned into a circus. And so now you get the bunt down. If Jake Cronenworth does his job, you have runners on second and third.
He has to bunt that down
out.
the first baseline. He has to. That has to be a bunt down the first baseline.
Well, if he gets it down the third baseline out of the pitcher's range, then
yes, Mauricio. Yeah, if you're going to bunt that ball,
he bunted it at the pitcher.
You either have to bunt it all the way to Mauricio effectively, or bunt it down the first baseline. That's what you have to do in that spot.
Well,
instead, he does the worst possible thing.
If you bunt it down the first baseline, the first baseman can come up and whip it to third. You want to bunt it down the third baseline, but the thing that what you can't do is you can't let the pitcher field it. He bunted it at the pitcher.
Right.
You bunted down the third baseline, but you can't let the pitcher get it.
I understand.
And that's what the problem was.
Right. And I understand and agree with that. But again, this is Jake Cronenworth. He is, of your bottom three, he is the best hitter of the bottom three. And you took the bat out of his hands. I understand your reasoning saying runners on second and third with 1 out. But Cronenworth is a guy who can get a hit in that spot and has done many times before. And you took the bat out of his hands.
With no outs, I don't mind it. I don't care who it is, unless it's like Manny or Fernando. Those might be the only two that I don't want to see bunt in that particular situation. But
you'd want to see Merrill bunt in that spot?
Yeah, the way he's been hitting the last 2 months, the guy's super unlucky. I mean,
he's got a 6-game hitting streak.
I understand that, but you just need 1 run. And I like my chances of runners on second and third and 1 out over obviously mis-executed. I mean, there's a lot of other, if you let him swing away, there's a lot of other bad problems that can happen. A lot of those bad problems don't happen if he gets a bunt. I mean, think about it from this perspective. Worst case scenario with Jake Cronenworth dropping down a bunt, right? What's the worst case scenario? He bunts it towards the pitcher.
Yeah.
And he gets the guy at third. That was worst case scenario, yet you still have runners on first and second and 1 out.
Why not double? I saw why not double steal instead of bunting, because Bogarts isn't fast enough. If the ball's outside, Bogarts not fast enough to get to third.
Double stealing with no outs is very difficult because you're trying to swipe third base, which is already more difficult for base runners anyway. And if he gets thrown out at third, people are rioting in the stands. Because then you have a runner on second with 1 out.
Exactly.
And you basically take away the advantage you had with the Mets being a circus with their PFPs.
And Jay, I'm not frustrated. It's all in good fun. Last night, if the Mets would have won that game last night, they would have stolen the game.
After giving it away.
Multiple times. They gave it away in the 5th inning. That's a game where that bullpen has to come in and lock it down. And in the 9th inning, it was a joke. They were an absolute circus last night, kicking the ball all over the infield, wide throws left and right. They were not good. If the Mets would have won that game, they would have stolen it. The Padres were the better team last night. They did everything right. They capitalized on every single Met mistake. And they should have won that game last night. The Padres should have won that game last night, and they did.
I was okay with him squaring the bunt when it was happening, even though the result wasn't there, because I like the situation again. But I'd rather go up there with a sac fly opportunity. I don't mind Bryce Johnson trying to get a sac fly. Bryce Johnson's played pretty well. I think it's funny. Like, we got to take a break. We'll talk about the offense when we come back. Bryce Johnson was being interviewed, after one of the Cardinals wins, and I think, he was obviously, talking a little bit about the trade deadline, but I honestly think Bryce Johnson's earned a spot on this roster.
Not as an everyday player, but yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's on the roster. I think there's value in Bryce Johnson as a bench piece. He can pinch run. He's a defensive replacement late in the outfield. He's done very well hitting. I mean, for what he is. I think it was good. I wouldn't mind, somebody says, like, when you could run a squeeze play with Johnson. I mean, with the way that the pitching staff for the Mets have been fielding their position that game, who knows?
Yeah, it would
put a circus on. But here's the other thing. Runners on second and third, 1 out. What are the Mets doing defensively? Infield in.
Yeah.
I like Bryce Johnson's opportunity to punch one through. He did that a couple times last night. I mean, that's kind of the ball he plays. And if that doesn't work, well, at least you still have an opportunity.
He beat that ball out. I think it was in the 6th inning. He beat it out short, and that was getting Lindor, who, by the way, has a broken toe, getting him to run all the way in from the shortstop position, just past the mound to field that ball. That was a very good play from Bryce Johnson to be able to beat that out.
The offense looked good last night. The offense is starting to put a couple of games in a row together. I've asked this question a lot. We'll try to answer it again when we come back. Has the offense finally turned it around? We'll talk about the Padres offense as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. We only had time. We were discussing it off air. Maybe we get to half of it here and the other half of the offense for this segment. We haven't even talked about Fernando's defensive prowess yesterday.
Unbelievable. Truly
unbelievable. I mean, I briefly mentioned in the open. But last night playing softball, we had people in the dugout are watching it. My brother plays softball with his phone, watching the Padres game. Like, he went up to bat like this with his phone.
Oh my god!
And then he was like, "Okay, time to get going." He puts his phone in his pocket, ropes one, and then pulls it out of his pocket as he runs down the first to have the Padre game on his phone.
Did you hear that Michael Cole, announcer for WWE, was on a podcast here recently?
Okay.
And said that while he is calling Monday Night Raw or any WWE event he is calling, if the Mets are playing, he's got the game on his phone. He is watching every single pitch of the Met game while calling a live wrestling event for WWE.
That's awesome.
Every single night.
I get into trouble trying to do that. I was doing that one time in 2022 when TCU was doing really well. I had a lot of soccer games that I call at USD. And TCU was playing Kansas State, and I had the game on the side calling soccer. And I think USD was playing like Portland, who's also purple. And I think I called him K-State twice on accident. In women's soccer. I think I called him K-State twice. K-State, Portland. It was a quick flip on it. I don't know if anybody noticed or not.
It's one of those deep shot down the field. Meanwhile, just dribbling it up the near sideline.
Exactly. It was K-State. Anyway, where I was getting with this was the Padres are must-watch TV. He's on the bases running around with the phone. And he comes off, like, after scoring, he's like, "You got to see Fernando's catch." I'm like, "What? How did you see it?" He got his phone out. And I'm like, "Okay, you got to see this. You got to see this." He stops, like, most of the game stops.
Mm-hmm.
The other teams in the field, our entire team just goes to watch this catch.
It was a stellar catch. It really was.
And the other team's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, look up to the screens up at the bar at the Sportsplex. They probably have it on." So everybody stopped and watched the catch. And so we watched. That was, and we've seen some impressive home run robberies out of Jackson Merrill and out of Fernando, but that took the cake last night. I mean, there wasn't a single broadcaster last night that thought that was a catch. Not one. That's how insane that catch was, because it didn't look like it. I think multiple broadcasters said it was gone. And it's not, I mean, it's not like they messed up. Those are hard to call. You can't tell, especially from the vantage point they have. Even with the monitors in front of them, you're not going to have any idea, especially in the moment. But it was a phenomenal play by Fernando. Do we have the highlight?
We do, yes.
Here's what it sounded like on 97 to the Fan.
Now the pitch, and Vientos sends it in the air to right field. That's well struck. Fernando's going back. He is at the wall. He leaps up, and he had it. Then he dropped it, and the umpires will say it's an out. What a play by Fernando. Went up and took a home run away from Vientos. And one down here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Jesse did the best at, like, letting it play out a little bit. But even then, it's just so hard to call. It's such a hard play to call. You do enough of the Padre games, you know that Fernando and Jackson got a chance. So you got to just wait. He let it play out a little bit. Obviously, the ball hit the ground. Good job explaining it. But it's hard to have that natural reaction, excitement, because you're trying to process what's going on. It's hard to sell. It's hard to see.
And you know, being a broadcaster yourself, you know that if you're in a place where you don't know, or you don't know how the ball is going to carry, you don't look at the ball when a ball like that goes up. You look at the fielder. So I saw Vientos hit the ball, but immediately looked at Fernando to see where it was going to go. And once you saw him start doing that little tiptoe stalking step when he got back to the wall, you knew he had a shot. he went up as high as he could have gone. There's a great still shot that somebody retweeted of his face is plastered up against the wall. He could not have gone further back, and he could not have gone any higher up than he got. And he almost doubled up Jeff McNeil, because McNeil is standing in the middle of first and second base with his arms out like, anyone want to tell me what just happened? Was it a catch? Was it not?
Yeah, the poor umpire's trying to process it too. They're like, I don't know.
And he almost got doubled off because no umpire made a clear call, and he didn't start going back until Fernando picked the ball back up and threw it in. So it was an unbelievable catch by Fernando. And it's just another example of why he is an absolute freak athlete. He's unbelievable at a position that is not his natural position. He's unbelievable.
That's why, and here's the thing. When this happened about him moving to the outfield, people freaked out. They're like, well, he's a shortstop. He can't. Athletes can go do crazy things. That's why it wasn't difficult to see that Jackson Merrill can transition to center field, as difficult as it is. And here's the thing. It's not like you're taking an average Joe and throwing him out in the Major League Baseball and saying, go play center field. That's very difficult. But for somebody like Fernando and for Jackson Merrill, those are the two that have been moved from the infield to the outfield that came up as shortstops. They are athletes that have played probably every position growing up since they were 5 years old. They can get it done.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm not, they oversell the whole, well, he plays this position. There's no way he can play this position. He can.
And especially,
he's a professional athlete.
And especially for shortstops too, because you grow up, you hear it all the time. Shortstops are the best athletes on the field. So you move two shortstops to the outfield. Now, if you moved a first baseman to center field, then yeah, I'd have a little bit more concern. But two shortstops, that's not a worry in reality.
I think any shortstop coming up can probably be moved to any position. That's 100%. Why college teams recruit strictly shortstops out of high school, because they're going to put them in a bunch of different spots because they're athletic and they can do multiple things. They're not asking Elias Diaz to play right field. Obviously, that would be a way difficult situation. That's why, like, Xander moving around the infield is not a problem. He's a good fielder. Jake Cronenworth's a shortstop, too. He can play shortstop. He can play third. He can play second. He plays first. He can do it all.
Manny came up as a shortstop.
Manny's a shortstop. Manny could probably play all the infield spots, too, if you really needed him to. I don't know if I want to see Manny in the outfield, but, again, these guys are athletes. It's difficult for an average Joe to play outfield in Major League Baseball. Nobody's saying it's not hard. But for guys that have been playing this position for so long, or playing baseball for this long, he could go out there and do some incredible things. And we're just talking about the home run robbery. He had another great catch in the diving sliding catch in the 6th inning. That was phenomenal, too.
Have that also here.
Yeah, here's what it sounded like.
Let me, hold on. There we go.
0-1, line the other way. This is not Riverfront. Tatis charging in, slides to make the catch near the line, and another star-worthy play for Fernando. 2 down here in the top of the 6th inning. Tatis robbed a homer in the 4th, and now a sliding grab towards the line for the 2nd out in the 6th.
This isn't a year where Fernando's has been tappy the whole time. I mean, he's still making plays. He's still a high WAR guy. I mean, he brings a lot to the table even when he's slumping at the plate, which he wasn't doing the last couple of games, which leads to our offensive conversation. Is this now the official turning point for the Padres offense? Has the Padres offense finally turned the corner? We have asked this question, I don't know how many times, Frank. And it's a consistency thing, right? It's the same thing with Dylan Cease. We've seen a lot of good starts out of Dylan Cease. We've seen a couple great starts out of Dylan Cease. The problem is he hasn't been able to string any of them together. He had a great start against the Dodgers and then did not do well against the next couple of starts. Had a great start against the Nationals and then kind of faltered again against Miami. I don't know what you do with Dylan Cease. We'll talk about him later on. But the offense has been kind of the same. You've had some really good offensive production and then barely getting a run or two. So you look at the offense. Now, Kevin Acee laid out some good stats of what the offense, especially the core 6 at the top, but really the 5 besides Jake Cronenworth, what they had been doing and what they have been recently doing. Luis Arraez went into the break in a 1-for-21 skid into the All-Star break. He has at least one hit in each of his 11 games since then and is batting .391 in that stretch. He has his average up to .292 and his on-base percentage is up to .326. Xander Bogaerts was 3 for 5 last night, which has now raised his batting average to .270. I said at the beginning of the year, when everybody was doubting Xander Bogaerts, I said, if he's hitting around .270 at the end of the season, you'll take that. That's exactly what you pay the man for. Well, he's gotten his average up to .270 despite his horrific start to the season, and it's the first time he's hitting .270 since April 15th. He has a .358 batting average since June 16th, and it's the highest in the National League, and his .968 OPS is 7th highest in that span in the entire National League. Xander's been great the last couple of months. Manny Machado has been the Padres' most consistent offensive performer, and last night took over the NL batting average lead at .302. He had hit 200, 268, and 410 slash line in 26 games from June 21st to July 22nd, but last night he extended his streak of games with at least 2 hits to 6. He is now batting .600 during the streak. Jackson Merrill is batting a modest .265 during an 8-game hitting streak, but 4 of those hits have come with runners in scoring position. He now has 6 RBIs during that span. Tatis's OPS has slipped to .798 on Wednesday. In the 5 games since, he's 8 for 21, which is a .381 average with 4 doubles, a home run, 3 walks, and 6 runs. Ever since Dad showed up. Tatis usually does a lot better when Fernando Sr. comes back and visits Fernando Jr. Now, what Kevin Acee said also in his daily newsletter, he talks about the newsletter before. Quote, remember yesterday's newsletter in which I wrote that the Padres are the only team in the major leagues to have the bottom 3 spots in the batting order all rank in the bottom 8 in MLB and OPS? From Kevin Acee. He goes on to say, well, Jake Cronenworth, Bryce Johnson, and Elias Diaz combined to go 5 for 9 with the walk and drive in 4 runs last night. The batters in the bottom third of the Padres order are 12 for 31 over the past 3 games. Big reason why they've been winning in the last handful of games. Quote from Jackson Merrill last night, as written in Kevin Acee's daily newsletter, that's huge when the whole team is going the same way at the same time. So finally, we get to that point, and we're excited for the final stretch. I think you're starting to see this offense really come together. They have to be able to continue these things. Hopefully, it's starting to load up a little bit, and this is the time that you want them to be doing this, is right now. You know, if they hit their stride in June, like, cool, they can rack up some wins, but you want it for the second half of the season. And the fact that they're starting to do this right now before they get any help, I think is great. And there is some rumors out there, right? You know, the Padres, and this was kind of played out by everybody's favorite reporter. Ken Rosenthal had it today about what he's been hearing. Ken Rosenthal. Everybody's favorite reporter.
I know. I don't have the thing on. Stop it.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. There you go. Boss.
Boo.
Sorry, I'm doing 5 different things here. My bad.
Come on, man. Don't make the chat hate you any more than they already do. I know it's hard. It's hard to you got all these things you got to be working on. He pointed out that the Padres are still interested in Stephen Kwan. They're making a push. The other thing, too, that Rosenthal and Dennis Lynch said was even though the Red Sox said they're not trading Jarren Duran, apparently the Padres are still asking about Jarren Duran, which I find very interesting. I was hoping that was kind of done with. I mean, the fact that they offered, Dylan Cease obviously is not moving it too much, but the fact that they have offered Ethan Salas for Jarren Duran at that point in time too, it's just, I don't really want it. I don't mind having him on the team for the next 3 years, right? But at the same time, what they're going to have to give up for a team that said they don't want to trade him, it's like, why continue the pursuit? Why continue the pursuit? I just, I don't really get it. But it's interesting to see some of these names are getting dropped out there with the Padres. Again, it sounds like Stephen Kwan might be listed as a potential destination for the a potential pickup for the Padres. They're not the only ones, though. There's multiple teams that are interested. Los Angeles Dodgers, Toronto Blue Jays, Philadelphia Phillies are all believed to be among the teams in the mix for Stephen Kwan, who's earning $4.175 million this year and is under club control through salary arbitration for 2 years after that. It's going to be a very valuable asset. Having Stephen Kwan and Luis Arraez on the same team is going to be very interesting to watch. Unless they think Stephen Kwan could be the new Luis Arraez and you let Luis Arraez walk at the end of the year. That was an interesting nugget. You look at some of the other names that were listed in this article by Ken Rosenthal about what he's been hearing. And the Padres' name is listed to a lot of players, as is expected, right? We see this all the time. The White Sox apparently believe they would look ridiculous accepting a mid-tier prospect for a player as talented as center fielder Luis Robert Jr. Their stance is if they do not land at least one of a trade partner's top 10 prospects for Robert, they will pick up his $20 million option. All the teams say, not so fast. There's no way. They're bluffing. There's multiple teams that have been linked to Luis Robert Jr., including the San Diego Padres. New York Mets are in, it sounds like. Philadelphia Phillies are in. And all three of those teams, as listed in Ken Rosenthal's article, is they aren't believing what the White Sox are saying. They're calling their bluff. There's other moves out there that could potentially be made. Again, I saw a couple more in there. The other name that was linked to the Padres, which I thought was interesting, was a Miami Marlin, who's a right-handed pitcher, but his name is Anthony Bender. Bullpen arm. He's earning $1.42 million under club control through arbitration for 2 additional seasons. He's 30 years old, throws 45% sweepers, 27% sinkers, 22% sliders, according to StatCast. He entered Monday with a 1.83 ERA and 44 1/3 innings, but an expected 3.48 ERA that was nearly twice as high. Okay, his expected is a little bit higher. Strikeout rate had dropped from 25.9% to 19.9%. His lofty ground ball rate also had dipped slightly from 51% to 50%, but the Padres, among other clubs, were considering him at the deadline. That was some of the latest with some Padres rumors. Dennis Lin had some other names listed that we'll talk about, and most of it was in the sense of Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez potentially getting dealt. And after last night, I mean, I understand keeping those players and being a part of your team. I get that. But at the same time, I mean, can you really trust Robert Suarez in a playoff game? I mean, I'd have to look up these stats. I don't know. I would assume, and you can't assume, but my guess would be if you looked up Robert Suarez's stats against teams above 500, they wouldn't be very good. I mean, I think you saw in the All-Star game, and those games don't matter. And who knows how geared up he was for that. But he's going against really good competition, and he didn't look very well. He didn't look very good in that particular case. He didn't look great last year at the end of the season. And again last night, I mean, he throws the ball really hard. He's a high velo guy. But when guys get on base, it doesn't usually end well for Robert Suarez. And when you throw high velocity, you miss. There's going to be players like last night that can put the ball over the fence. For a guy that's not going to be on your team next year, why not? Especially since you got a very underrated relief pitcher that we'll talk about in the noon hour, who might be the most underrated pitcher in baseball. We'll continue. Trade talk next.
Hey, Chris Ella from Gwynn and Chris. The Padres have begun their march to a world title, and we'll be with you every step of the way. Padres news all year long on your number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Why worry about what your old car's worth. At Hyundai of El Cajon, we'll pay off your trade in full, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. If you're a first-time buyer, have current credit problems, or have been turned down by other dealers, Hyundai of El Cajon wants to approve you today, only at Hyundai of El Cajon.
$169 per month lease with $6,150 due on approved credit. Not all will qualify, plus tax, title, license, and $150 title and registration processing fee. Rebates and incentives to dealer, 36-month lease. 15% of MSRP due at signing. 10,000 miles per year through HMF. Expires August 3rd, 2025.
Life can be hard sometimes. Facing challenges can bring feelings of panic, sadness, helplessness, or even thoughts of self-harm. If you or someone you know is in emotional distress, the 988 Lifeline can help. You are not alone, and you don't have to figure things out by yourself. Dial the 988 Lifeline today and receive support from a local counselor at no cost.
$11 hour on 97.3 The Fan for the next couple of days is our coverage of the trade deadline hour. 97 to the Fans coverage of the MLB Trade Deadline is brought to you by Palomar Health, champions of healthcare, champions for you. Still nothing really going on the trade front, obviously. But again, a lot of these deals are going to happen at the end. It's going to happen very late, I think. But you never know. It only takes one, and it'll start avalanching through. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. We'll try to keep you up on everything that we have in terms of trade rumors. And again, Dennis Lin putting out some other stuff earlier this morning. We talked about some of the deals that Ken Rosenthal has heard in terms of rumors. But it sounds like, again, the Padres are shopping Dylan Cease, Robert Suarez. Obviously, last night, not great for either company when trying to get some value out of potential players. But one of the parts of the deal that I think was interesting is the Padres, this is in Dennis Lin's article today in The Athletic, the Padres since last offseason and certainly in recent weeks have discussed the idea of moving Cease and or Suarez. The former will enter free agency this winter, represented by Scott Boras, who secured for Soto the largest contract in professional sports history. The latter recently hired agent Bryce Dixon, and the expectation is that Suarez will decline a pair of $8 million player options for 2026 and 2027. With limited payroll flexibility and less prospect capital than they possessed a year ago, the Padres could try to send one of these expiring deals to another postseason contender in exchange for new prospect capital and some salary relief. In theory, San Diego could then use those resources to acquire club-controlled players at positions of need. This is not new information for us. We've been talking about this for a while. But it's very interesting to see if the Padres are going to be able to pull this off, if A.J. Preller is able to pull this off. There was another good article yesterday in The Athletic that we're going to talk about later on in this hour, and it's about the personalities of all these GMs, in which they call A.J. Preller the fisherman. He's known as the fisherman in Major League Baseball. And what the comparison is he's got 1,000 lines in the water with bait looking to get someone to bite. And there's more information on that. I found that article to be fascinating. Andrew Marchant wrote it in The Athletic. He talked to all the GMs, a lot of rival executives to describe their counterparts. And the fisherman for A.J. Preller was very interesting. And there were some quotes from A.J., there's some quotes from other general managers talking about A.J., about what he is like at the trade deadline. What is it like to deal with A.J. Preller? It's fascinating stuff. We'll talk about that at 11:30. Also from Dennis Lin's article, here's the latest on potential pieces that they could bring back before we tell you what's going on in the rumor mill with Frank, as we will do every day at 11 until the trade deadline is passed. As of late Monday, according to Dennis Lin in his article today in The Athletic, President of Baseball Operations A.J. Preller still seemed to be aiming high. League sources said the Padres remained among the teams in pursuit of Cleveland Guardians outfielder Stephen Kwan. Meanwhile, despite reports that the Boston Red Sox had taken Jarren Duran off the market, San Diego continued to express interest in the longtime target. Preller, famous for his exhaustiveness, was also said to be considering such commodities as high-end relief and starting pitching depth. We'll see where the Padres are at with Michael King. We have an update on Michael King that we want to pass your way. We'll see what's the deal with Yu Darvish. Obviously, with Sam Levitt reporting that, at least on Twitter last night, that Yu Darvish will pitch Wednesday's game with Bergert pitching tonight, where he is potentially at, and whether or not the Padres have enough pitching, not only to trade away Dylan Cease, but also have enough pitching to make it to the end of the year. Maybe they got to go get somebody else if they want to trade away a Dylan Cease. It's going to be interesting to see. There is, of course, as Dennis Lin says, to kind of put a bow on this before we talk about what's going on in Major League Baseball, there is at least one scenario, absent compelling offers, the Padres could keep both Cease and Suarez for another playoff chase. And A.J. Preller's done that in the past. He has elected to keep some players. I mean, the one that I look back to the most is in a season in which the Padres were not competing, and they ended up keeping Justin Upton, who was their all-star that year, and got nothing for him except for a draft pick at the end of the season when they let him walk. If the deal is not out there that A.J. Preller likes, he won't pull the trigger on it. And we'll talk more about A.J. Preller at 11:35. As some of the rival GMs talk about A.J. Preller. It's very interesting stuff. But what's the latest on the trade deadline deals and rumors as we now bring back Frank Marchese?
All righty. So now we're back.
How are we doing? We're catching up here.
Yeah, trying. Doing
the camera
best.
thing at the beginning just
really threw
off Frank, and now he's behind.
We're way off on the game here. So let's jump into this here. Rumors and notes. So first of all, let's go with a couple of trades that were made yesterday. We did talk about it. We mentioned it, but we didn't really dive into it. The Minnesota Twins trade right-handed pitcher Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnik to Detroit for catching prospect Enrique Jimenez. And you made a comment about it yesterday. An interdivisional trade for a couple of pitchers. That was quite shocking.
I was shocked by a couple of those moves. Now, some relationships are better than others. I know from talking around that the Diamondbacks Padres relationship is not the greatest when trades, but who knows? With this regime, historically it hasn't been great. So that's why everybody freaking out about Josh Naylor becoming a Mariner. No, the Padres couldn't have gotten it. They would have had to trade the world to potentially get Josh Naylor. And that was, and you could have, and here's where I bring this up. Do you remember when Paul Goldschmidt was available for trade for the Diamondbacks?
Yes.
And the Padres kind of checked in on him. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what the Diamondbacks wanted?
No,
they wanted like the top 3 players.
There you go.
In the Padres organization, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's too much. They're never going to get anything." And I was like, "You got to read the tea leaves. That is a major middle finger. Like, no, we're not giving you Paul Goldschmidt."
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to understand that with some of these interdivision trades. Now, obviously, the Tigers and the Twins have a little bit more of a relationship, or the Twins just don't care about Chris Paddock being a Tiger, and they can make the move. But that's why you have some of these interdivision trades are usually like that. My opinion on interdivision trades, and maybe yours is different, Frank. I was taught this a handful of years ago by a great baseball mind who I used to work with. And he said, as long as I'm improving my ball club, I'm not worried about other ball clubs. And you know what? I think that's the right approach if you're a general manager. As a fan, you could be like, yeah, I'm not trading with the Dodgers, not trading with the Giants, Rockies, Diamondbacks. But I think as a general manager, you're running the team, and that's your product on the line, you got to be willing to trade with anybody that's going to improve your team. And if your team got improved, you're not worried about other ball clubs.
It doesn't make me feel good to trade in the division because, especially with the Padres and the Mets have the same history. When you trade prospects, they have a chance at really biting you. And more times than not, they don't. But there's always that one that will. And he will bite you consistently if it's in the division. But you also can't cut your nose to spite your face.
Correct.
Another trade that was made yesterday, the Tampa Bay Rays trading away Danny Jansen to the Milwaukee Brewers for infield prospect Jadir Arenamo. So a catcher on the move in Danny Jansen and going from borderline contender to contender.
Yeah, that's not a bad pickup for them. It's an interesting move. Again, a lot of these moves are going to be fringe moves. Mm-hmm. Tampa's always fascinating at the deadline. They're always fascinating. They usually sell high and buy low on everybody. They're very good at doing that. There's not a lot of teams that usually end up on top with the Rays. Padres have gotten the Rays a couple of times with some of the trades. The Blake Snell trade continues to look pretty good for the Padres. The other one that they got was what everybody thought was the Tommy Pham trade. It worked out really well for the Padres and Jake Cronenworth for most of the last handful of years. I mean, you can say what you want about Jake, but he's been a good asset for the Padres. for the last couple of years. But most teams don't get the better edge on the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, I agree. They've always had that small market mentality where they can win with anyone that they try to bring through the system. All right, closing in on a trade, the Blue Jays, with the American League's best record of 63-44, have been in trade talks with the Pirates regarding a reliever. Although no pitcher is specifically mentioned, the Pirates have a couple of the best late relievers on the trade market, including David Bednar and Dennis Santana. Both pitchers are under control through 2026. Bednar with a 2.37 ERA and Santana with a 1.39 ERA. So the Blue Jays might be getting better.
Well, they have to. They're at the top of the leaderboard. I'm sort of surprised. I have you wanted me to delete this because whatever, but I like to save it. I mean, I did not have the Blue Jays. I thought them going 2 games above 500 with the offseason that they had. I thought the Orioles would be a lot better. They're obviously awful. Everybody and their mother picked the Red Sox to not only win the East, but also be the representative for the American League in the World Series. And the Blue Jays have kind of surprised a lot of people. I mean, think about the tone we had with Dan Schulman in the interview when the Padres played the Blue Jays. I mean, they were between a rock and a hard place for the season. Now they're in first place. Now they have the best record in baseball. You got to be able to strike when the iron's hot. And right now it's hot for the Toronto Blue Jays. Add some bullpen help. David Bednar, former Padres 30th best prospect at the time of trade, turned himself into a pretty good closer. That'd be a good pickup. Same with Dennis Santana. Again, Bednar's market appears particularly robust. Tigers, Phillies, and Rangers all in on him as well.
Speaking of which, beating the Yankees on a consistent basis too, which is always good.
The
latest on Stephen Kwan, according to the Athletics' Ken Rosenthal. Monday's announcement that Cleveland closer Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st as part of has not only eliminated the chances that the Guardians becoming trade deadline buyers, but also increased the possibility of the club dealing Stephen Kwan and right-hander Shane Bieber, who is slated to make a rehab start for AA Akron as he continues on his comeback. So now we talked about some of the ripple effects on the bullpen market. That is also creating a ton of ripple effects now through the Cleveland Guardians organization.
Guardians, as of right now, are 4 games back of a wild card spot. They're 2 games under 500. Obviously, Class A not being part of the conversation right now for the Guardians is not great. They just lost their closers, and it really is going to fast forward them to selling even more. Cleveland does this a decent amount of times. There's apparently a lot of scouts throughout Major League Baseball. They're going to go to AA Akron and take a look at what Shane Bieber can do. Shane Bieber signed a 2-year deal with the Guardians, or a make good deal.
Right,
I think he's got a player option for next year at like $16 million, or 10. I forget which one it is, back and forth, but he's relatively affordable. And if he does well, he's probably going to opt out of his potential option as a player option. But he's intriguing. See how he does in AA Akron. I'm not saying the Padres should trade for him, but it is an interesting package that you could potentially get. Kwan, as mentioned before, getting interest from the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Padres. Might seem odd for a team that ranks near the bottom of the league and runs scored to consider moving one of its most reliable bats, Cleveland. But with Class A no longer available as a possible trade chip, Guardians may be forced to consider other ways to reshape the roster, including Stephen Kwan, which opens up the market for the Padres. That news was great for the Padres in more ways than one.
Yep.
It probably gives more value to a guy like Robert Suarez, and all of a sudden the Guardians have a lot of assets that could potentially sell at the deadline that align with the Padres. And so that's our latest update on the trade deadline. We'll try to get you some more information as it comes about. Great job there, Frank. When we come back, a couple of trade proposals that were thrown out there by Jim Bowden that we want to talk about, some of them involving the Padres, and the question of who says no. We'll answer that when we come back on some of these potential deals on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting as number 1 sports station 97 through the Fan. 11:20 on the Braden Surprenant show. Frank just showed me that they have added Bristol Motor Speedway to MLB The Show.
Yeah, in preparation for this weekend's game, they added it. Oh my God, it looks amazing. I'll retweet it from the show account so you guys can see it.
It looks pretty cool. All right, good. Rod's going to be at the show tomorrow. It's great. So I can get him his t-shirt. We will be live at the Loft tomorrow, Frank and I, for the pregame show before the Padres take on the New York Metropolitans for the final game of the 3-game series here in San Diego. Off day Thursday, but it's the trade deadline day, and then Friday, the St. Louis Cardinals come to town. So we'll be out there live at the Loft, and come by and say hi. Now, with that, again, like our first hour of the show, the park's not open yet, so you can't come in there. But if you get there early, you can come out and say hi. A couple other housekeeping things. We got a lot of people watching on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, give us a like down below. If you're watching on your phone, there's a little thumbs up. Push that on your phone, your smart device, and then hit the thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, next to the 97 Through the Fan logo below, there's a little bell. That's a subscribe button. If it says subscribed, you've already done your job. If it doesn't, click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And all it does is just put everything right there for you on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, we're trying to get to 500 YouTube subscribers on the Braden Surprenant Show page. In the description below, it has links not only to that page, @B_SURP, youtube.com/@B_SURP. It's the first link listed in the description. Click on that and click subscribe. You can watch this on the Braden Surprenant Show page. And we have a nice little following over there as well. A lot of people in the chat over there, like our guy Prolific the Great is on there.
Love you, Prolific.
He was so mad at you last night.
He was.
He was so mad at you last night. We'll talk Titans football with Prolific later in the football season, of course. Jake Waters is over there, our resident college football fan. And we had a nice little chat going on over there as well. So you can share the love a little bit. But if you go to the YouTube page, the Braden Surprenant Show page, I'm going to be posting stuff hopefully later today. Got more content for you coming your way. But subscribe to the page. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We're almost to 400, which is great. But subscribe to our YouTube page. And then, of course, everything down below is how you can follow us on social media. Post a lot of great content on there. You could see Frank cry about the Mets losing on there. You could see us being excited about the Padres beating the Mets on there as well. But all of our social media accounts are on there listed below. Also, you can listen to our show on the Odyssey app or in podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts, which is also great. I saw our guy Doug Brady. He's getting prepared for football practice later on. He's got split screen, half watching us, half doing his football notes. It's great. Love to see it. High school football starting up. I think the earliest day you could practice is tomorrow. We're starting at Cathedral on Thursday. Looking forward to it. Getting your notes done. Listen to Padres baseball. You know what? We can make it easier for Doug. I know he likes looking at our great faces all the time, but he can listen to it and then be able to work simultaneously. I know a lot of you do that as well. And you can also, if you missed anything, go back, rewind function on the Odyssey app. You can also leave us a voice message on the Odyssey app as well. I've totally forgotten about that. So I got to be able to check that so I can send it to Frank. So if you want to weigh in on something, you can leave us a voice message also. We do have some more trade deadline stuff we want to get to. We want to get to the phones, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Davis in San Diego. Welcome back to the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Davis?
What's up, Braden? I think since, who's it? Emmanuel Clase, you know how he's sidelined for a while because of the betting thing?
Yes.
It probably eliminates the Guardians from buying, and probably they're leaning more to selling. So Stephen Kwan, I'm guessing, is he's probably now available, and he's probably the perfect guy for the Padres. Great outfielder, and has 2 years left of his contract. He's only making $5 million for a great outfield bat like that.
It is a good spot, Davis, and I appreciate the phone call. Stephen Kwan, I like Stephen Kwan potentially being a Padre. I think you'd have to give up a decent amount for Stephen Kwan. It's also a left-handed bat, which doesn't address some of the problems you have, which is the right-handed situation for the Padres. But the thing is, how I view Stephen Kwan is I view Stephen Kwan as an asset for the next couple of years, not just the last half of the season. And I think if you do acquire Stephen Kwan, you let Luis Arraez walk at the end of the year. I think Stephen Kwan takes over as a slightly more overall, all-around player than a Luis Arraez. He's younger. He plays better defensively. He's still a high-contact guy. But, for me, that would be the move on Stephen Kwan. Because you'd have to give up a lot for a guy like Stephen Kwan. I wouldn't mind it. But it's interesting. We'll see what the Padres decide to dial up. Again, we're still in the infancy stages of this MLB trade deadline. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Zero mention of permits on that. Thank you, Jake. Let's get out to Justin in Vista. Justin, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Nothing. How are you today?
I'm doing well. What do you got for me?
One comment, one question.
All right.
Got your email about pickups on the T-shirts. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And in regards to trading prospects, can AJ trade the guys he just drafted?
He is not allowed to trade those guys until the winter.
So the cruise missile is ours.
Yes, at least until the end of the season. He is technically the Padres. Yes.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Justin. So a lot of people ask about that. It's an interesting question. Obviously, when you have the draft in the middle of the season, can you trade these potential draft picks? And they signed all of them. All 19 of them have been signed and they now are members of the Padres organization. You're not allowed to trade draft picks that have just been drafted until the winter time, until the offseason. It's a good question by Justin. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, let's look at some of these hypothetical trades that have been put out. Who says no? And I want to get into how general managers view A.J. Preller and the nickname they have given him. I've already teased what the nickname was, but we'll talk more about that and maybe how it lays out to what kind of wheeler and dealer A.J. Preller is at the trade deadline as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Antonio Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:34. We're just talking with Adam about the trade deadline. We are kind of. I am a little. Are you surprised, Frank? I'm a little surprised that there hasn't been too many moves yet.
Yes and no. I mean, it is surprising with so many names that have been thrown out, that have gone, that have been labeled as going, with how many people there are looking for these players. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't moved yet. But with all the names that are out there, it's all the same teams going after all the same guys. So I understand why they've waited.
I get it too. Because to me, it's about the art of the deal, right? It's about getting the correct deal. It's about having the correct approach. And, you want to make sure you get the best deal for yourself. I think a lot of teams are getting a little bit too arrogant, like the White Sox, right? And we just talked about this. Like, Luis Robert Jr. is a former top prospect, center fielder, has in the past done really well, but this season he's been awful. In the last 2 weeks, he's been really good. He's like flashed some of his old self, almost like the White Sox said, dude, if you want to get out of here, you better start playing.
Yeah, please start trying.
Start trying to play, and you'll get on a good team. And so now he started to play well, and the White Sox are telling people like, well, we'd be foolish to give this guy up for anything less than a top 10 prospect. And all these teams are like, kick rocks, dude. He's not worth that right now. And it's funny that what got brought up in this conversation, it's like he's the Luis Robert Jr. He's like the guy when you're playing fantasy football, right? And you got the guy in your league, it's not a good drafter. And he drafted somebody second round, and he's been absolute crap for the first 6 weeks of the season. He's trying to dump him in a trade, but he still wants the value of a second round pick, despite the fact that the guy is not playing like a second round pick. And so he's asking for the world. And you're like, this guy is barely making anybody's roster right now. Just because you wasted a second round pick on him doesn't mean I got to pay for a second round pick in a fantasy trade proposal. But like the White Sox going like, oh, we'll pick up his $20 million option. For what? For a guy that can't even make it through a season? I mean, he's never been able to make it through a season. Guy gets hurt all the time. You're going to pick up his $20 million option and then hope in the offseason you could get something for him? Give me a break. Nobody's buying that. The White Sox should just be getting anything that's worth a trade. Anything close to worth a trade. They should just be like, yep, sounds good. We'll take it. I mean, what are they waiting for? Hey, there's not one team that's going to give up a top 10 prospect for a guy like Luis Robert Jr. for a rental, knowing that you're not going to pick up his option for $20 million. I mean, $20 million for him is ridiculous. That guy barely plays 20 games a season. Obviously, he plays more than that. I mean, you're almost going to pay that guy $1 million for every game he plays because he never plays. The White Sox, as prolific this says in the chat, the White Sox are not only bluffing, they're baffling to me, the decisions that they decide to make. They're baffling to me, the decisions they decide to make. I mean, the Mets are part of that conversation with Luis Robert Jr.
Yes.
You know for a fact the Mets are they giving up a top 10 prospect for Luis Robert Jr.?
No.
No. Why would you? We represent two of the teams that are interested in Luis Robert Jr. I don't want to see any of the top 10 prospects for the Padres go for a rental of Luis Robert Jr. I'll take a flyer on the guy. I'll take a flyer on the guy. I'll take a flyer on the guy. The only way I'd be willing to do that is if the White Sox pay the $20 million for the option for the next year, and I have him on the team for free next year. That would be the only way I give up a top 10 prospect for a guy like Luis Robert Jr. And even then, I still think the White Sox are getting a better deal there. But we'll see where it plays out. I'm a little surprised. No trades, but at the same time, I mean, look, you got a lot of guys that are trade piece guys that are playing right now. Suarez got drilled last night for Arizona, left the game early. Charlie Morton started today, did okay against the Blue Jays, okay. Mike Soroka's expected to pitch later on this afternoon for the Washington Nationals. They're letting these guys play. Still no deals being put together. So again, surprised by these deals, not surprised by these deals.
As far as Charlie Morton goes, this is the first end of a doubleheader. So I kind of understand having him play. Yeah, exactly. I understand him playing, but it is a little odd.
Let's get to a couple of these deadline proposals real quick, and then we'll get to our sports fix. And let's try to focus on some of the ones that involve the Padres. There's
Sports Thread.
That's right. Sports Thread. Here's one that, again, we heard the report from the Red Sox, not interested in trading Jarren Duran, and then we heard the report from Dennis Lin this morning. Padres are still asking about Jarren Duran. Jim Bowden put together this potential trade, 3-team trade between Boston, Miami, and San Diego, Frank.
Yes. So Boston, in this instance, would get right-hander Edward Cabrera from the Marlins, and right-hander Dylan Cease from the Padres.
All right, so they addressed their need of
Starting pitcher.
2 starting pitchers. Is Edward Cabrera? Edward Cabrera is under contract for a couple of years, isn't he?
I believe he is.
He's
yes.
not a rental. So you got a rental pitcher and you got a
contract
guy that you can keep. Plus, it sounds like the Red Sox want to sign Cease, so maybe they can work out a deal while they got him.
Right. Miami would get Ethan Salas, right-handed pitcher Luis Perales, and right-handed pitcher Ryan Bergert.
So the Padres are now parting ways with Ethan Salas, Dylan Cease, and Ryan Bergert.
And the Padres in return would get Jaron Duran
under contract for 3 years.
And Sandy Alcantara
under contract for 2 years. Who says no there? We know what Jim Bowden said. Do you agree with Jim Bowden?
I
find the Padres.
I agree with Jim Bowden, honestly.
Miami gets 2 prospects, and well, I don't know who Luis Perales is, but I'm sure he's part of the Red Sox organization. You get Sandy. How long is Sandy's contract again?
I gotta look.
I forget. I keep forgetting on the
payroll. This is why we have Spotrac up at all times. I should learn this by now because these are questions that are always asked. I find Spotrac easier.
He's under contract for this season, next season, and there's a club option
in
for 21
27
million. That's pretty favorable if you're the Padres. You've basically replaced starting rotation spot. You give up on Ethan Salas, which I'm not super for, but the way Ethan Salas is right now, back issues, been struggling to hit, what the time frame is. That's the perfect situation. Like when Andres Munoz got sent off and nobody cared because the guy was coming back from Tommy John, he's going to be the perfect candidate of like, why did we trade this guy? And you forget the fact that he was hurt and everything like that.
And Edward Cabrera would be going into ARB 2. He'd be going into Super 2 next year.
Boston gets a controllable player for a handful of years.
3 years, yeah.
And they get Dylan Cease. Playoff push. San Diego gets Jaron Duran. I would say Miami probably says no.
It feels like they're giving up way too much for not enough in return. I understand they are the kind of team that would try to win with prospects because that's their market. That's been their MO over the years. But that feels like they're giving up too much and not getting enough back in return.
They're giving up 2 starting pitchers and they're getting back 3 prospects. And one of their starting pitchers before Tommy John was arguably one of the best in baseball with multiple years of control. Red Sox, Padres probably say yes.
Oh, of course. Yeah, because they're getting the better end of the deal.
Miami's saying absolutely not. I know. Maybe they can swindle Peter Bendix again.
Well, hey, things happen.
I think there's only one other trade on here that involved the Padres. Or is that it? I swear I saw another one on there.
I think that might have been it. Because I'm looking through and I'm not seeing...
a lot of pirate stuff.
Yeah.
I swear they had another one on there, but it might have been just the deal for the...
yeah, it might have been they were brought up as a possibility, but no.
I find that, maybe they got something there in the future. But you would get your outfield to be locked in for the next handful of years with Jaron Duran. Then you would have a replacement pitcher for the next couple of years. You don't have to worry about Dylan Cease, and you'll be willing to give up 2 more players in that deal? Do the Red Sox have to throw something else in there? They are giving up Jaron Duran.
I would say it'd have to be 1 for 1. Like I would take a higher if the Padres were forced to give up another top 10 prospect in order to get that deal done, I would say Boston would have to give up like a 10 to 15. At least.
I think Boston and San Diego needs to give up at least 1 more prospect each.
I agree.
Too bad you can't throw in like a major league guy for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
At that, because again, you keep your major league staff intact, with the exception of Bergert, right?
Yeah.
And you replace Dylan Cease with Sandy
Alcantara,
yeah, Alcantara. So it's not a bad play there. I mean, the Padres would make out great right there, and then you take the risk that Ethan Salas is not great. But then who's your catching situation is still a major problem.
I'm gonna have a full ADD moment right now. Why is the Baltimore Orioles home run hat a pirate hat?
I don't know. They got the pirate hat, and then they have like the beer chug.
The chug,
thing.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they do a lot of crazy things.
Well, what does an Oriole have anything to do with?
I mean, the Twins had like a home run sausage last year.
But there's another team called the Pirates. There's not another team called the Milwaukee Sausages.
Well, you're looking into this too much. The Pirates are in a different league. What do they care? Maybe the Pirates, you know what? Use it or lose it. So the Pirates don't use the hat. Somebody else took the hat. Anyway.
Sorry for derailing the show, but
it's a sports thread.
That one bothered me.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got today?
We're going to start off with somber news, and we're gonna forego the gimmicks for this one. Story that broke yesterday: 4 people, including an off-duty New York City police officer, killed and another person critically wounded in a shooting yesterday in Midtown Manhattan, in a building that housed the NFL League office. The police identified the rifle-wielding gunman as, not going to give him the time of day, from Las Vegas. He since, ended his own life after this. He had documented mental health history, but the motive was still unknown. The New York City mayor says that he was intending on going to the NFL HQ, but got on the wrong floor. We are working to understand why he targeted this particular location. The location also included finance company Blackstone and KPMG and the Consulate of Ireland, along with the NFL headquarters as well. So, developing story out of New York right now, of course, not great news.
Not great news, obviously. There's not really much more you can say about that, but obviously thinking about the families affected and the people affected, it's just not great.
Yeah, especially, and that's why it's in the sporting news sections, because this is in the same building on, I believe, I just closed it. I think it's Wall Street that holds.
But the target was the NFL headquarters?
That's what the mayor of New York has said.
Interesting.
He expected he's expecting the target was the NFL headquarters, but he got on the wrong floor. So that's what the anticipation is.
Number 2.
So now, question for you: when someone is suing you for retaliation, and they still work for you, what is one thing you probably shouldn't do?
All right, retaliate?
Yeah, you probably shouldn't, fire them. Well, the Phoenix Suns apparently did not learn that lesson. The Suns have fired an employee who is suing the team for discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. The employee, Gene Traylor, who I believe we brought up on the show before, who has served as the Suns' Director of Safety and Security and Risk Management, who joined the team back in January 23, was fired on Friday. While the organization typically does not comment on internal personal matters, Mr. Traylor or his attorney, Sharir Wright, apparently opted to publicize his termination, which is what Stacy Mitch, the Suns' Senior Vice President of Communications, said in a statement. Mr. Traylor was terminated from his position as a security manager because of an independent outside investigation concluded that he violated the company policy with respect to confidential information and security operations and was internally untruthful with investigators. So, are you willing to give the Suns the benefit of the doubt, knowing all of their legal history with employees over the last 12 months?
Absolutely not. Not with their track record.
Thank you very much.
Actions speak louder than words, and that's all you need to know about the Phoenix Suns and everything that they do. So, no, I don't believe them. I mean, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf.
I mean, it's hilarious. You fired the person for doing the thing that you're getting sued for. That's just, you can't write that. You can't make that stuff up.
Number 3.
A 55-year-old Texas man who told police he was in a, quote, imaginary relationship
Oh, God.
with
I know where this is
WNBA
going.
star Caitlin Clark was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison on Monday after pleading guilty to stalking and harassing the Indiana Fever guard. Michael Lewis of Denton, Texas, reached a deal with Marion County prosecutors in which he pleaded guilty to 1 felony count of stalking and 1 misdemeanor count of harassment. He will get credit for time served at the Marion County Adult Detention Center since his arrest. Lewis was also ordered to stay away from the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the Hinkle Fieldhouse for Fever events, and Indiana Pacers organization events, as well as having no other contact with Clark, who is 23. He will also not be allowed internet access during his sentence.
Wow.
Wonderful guy here, I am sure, being in an imaginary relationship with a WNBA megastar, the WNBA megastar.
Yeah, that was a wild story and crazy. And hopefully there's not more people like him in the future when it comes to Caitlin Clark and the WNBA.
What a guy. What a winner. What a guy.
Number 4.
Tyrese Halliburton weighed in on the debate surrounding the uptick in Achilles injuries across the NBA last season, saying he doesn't believe there is a definitive answer beyond that of bad luck. Halliburton is recovering from his own Achilles tear, which he suffered early in Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was the 3rd player to suffer an Achilles tear just in the playoffs and 7th over the last season. Halliburton was on the Pat McAfee show when he made these comments. It's not like Tommy John surgery. It's not like guys blowing out their arm trying to get more velocity and more break. Is he wrong that it's just a bad luck that these guys' Achilles just keep going?
It seems like bad luck. I mean, how do you prevent an Achilles injury?
Exactly.
It's just extension and stuff like that. I mean, the NFL is having some issues with Achilles injuries. It just feels like it's a way more rampant right now than before. And I don't know what the reasoning is. At least with like the NFL on turf, it makes a little bit of sense with like a grab in the cleats and stuff like that. It doesn't slide out like you do in grass. It just, maybe it's just a coincidence right now. I don't really know.
Unless there's a tack on the bottom of shoes that
where it
keeps
gets
getting caught on the floor
or something like that. It's just, and it's a horrific injury to look at.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not great. But I don't necessarily think it's a problem that can be fixed. I honestly agree with Tyrese. I think it might just be bad luck.
Yeah. We don't have time for the last one, but Royals All-Star Chris Bubick out for the remainder of the season with a rotator cuff strain. Also, rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg. That news broke during the game last night.
Ryan Sandberg passed away at a very young age of in his 60s last night.
Cancer.
Of cancer. Great player, great man. Saw a lot of tributes on MLB Network. And he will be missed. Hour number 3 coming up next.
Fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan, is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sereno Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning into the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Today apparently is National Wing Day on a Tuesday. That's odd.
Anyone want a wingy?
Anybody want some wings? Anybody mind?
By the way, I still brace. You've trained me, apparently. I still brace for every time after you do that Craft Taco read. I'm going to get asked, have you had Craft Taco? I still brace for it every time.
Yeah. You should. Now, you still haven't been physically to the brick and mortar stores, so.
No, I have not. We are 100% going either Friday or Saturday, because next Friday or next Saturday, because my friend is coming out here. He said he has to go, so we are going, definitely.
Okay. And then if you don't go after that tease, you will be dinged with a foul. You will be dinged with a foul.
I will post a picture. We are going.
Now I feel like I got to go get wings today on National Wing Day. This is the problem with these random national days. Now I'm incentivized, and this is why they have these deals, is so I'm now incentivized to go get wings today.
We'll get to it next segment. Thank God it's not National Shredded Cheese Day.
Yeah, I don't know what.
We'll get to that next segment.
I couldn't believe the information I got passed along to me about this particular deal, but you won't want to miss it. All right. We're trying to keep you updated on everything that's going on in trade deadline talks. I just saw Buster Only throw the Padres out there and where is it? And the Osuna from the Braves conversation again. Quote from Buster Only. It'll be interesting to see if the Padres emerge as a possible landing spot for Marcell Ozuna. San Diego has some of baseball's worst DH production this year, WRC plus of 82, which ranks 28th, and presumably the prospect strap Padres wouldn't have to give up much to get him. Okay. Before then, here's the other report on it. With little more than 48 hours to go before the deadline, already 48 hours out, almost. There is movement developing around Marcell Ozuna, who has the power to reject any trade proposal. At least one team has had internal conversations about trying to work out a deal for the slugger. Other things from Buster Only this morning. Division rivals are vying for outfielder Luis Robert of the White Sox, with the White Sox apparently resolute in the stance that they'll either receive a trade return of equivalent of what Robert's potential is or hang on to him beyond the deadline. The White Sox hold a $20 million option on Robert next season, and they have tons of payroll flexibility moving forward, meaning that there really is no financial stress in the decision. Chicago doesn't have to dump the contract. A lot of Robert's career has been filled with injury and underwhelming performance, but he's always been viewed as a superstar talent. Luis Angel Acuna and Mark Vientos are among the names that have come up in conversation with the Mets, and the Phillies have a farm system loaded with pitching. The Padres are also interested in Luis Robert. Interesting stuff. I still think the Mets, Phillies, and Padres call their bluff on that particular deal. All right. Here's something I found very interesting in yesterday's Athletic. We haven't talked about it yet, but I find it's fascinating. So, in the Athletic yesterday, there was an article written by Andy McCullough. Andy McCullough writes The Athletic. I think he's based in Southern California. I've seen him at a lot of Padres-Dodgers games in the clubhouse. and in the press box. But he put out what was the first of a 3-part series examining how the personalities of MLB executives impact baseball's trade deadline. Part 2 is coming out today. And he goes in, and the general managers that he's talking about in part 1, AJ Preller, Andrew Friedman, Brian Cashman, and Jerry DiPoto. That is the Padres, the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Mariners, relatively general managers. A lot of them have better titles than that, so they can get paid more, like president of baseball, stuff like that. Okay, but those are the 4 that he talked about in the first piece of this. And you haven't read it. I'm not going to go into details of everybody with DiPoto because most Padres fans aren't going to care about Seattle Mariners, Jerry DiPoto, or New York Yankees, Brian Cashman, with the exception of Adam Paul in the chat, who's a Yankees fan. And I know none of you are going to care what they say about Andrew Friedman. But as the MLB trade deadline approaches, The Athletic dives into the personalities and negotiation styles of baseball's most active executives, with a spotlight on Padres' AJ Preller being one that we will talk about. Preller and Jerry DiPoto are listed as relentless deal makers, and Preller had been likened to a fisherman with 1,000 lines in the water who explores every possibility. They talk about Alex Anthopoulos a little bit. They talk about Andrew Friedman, Chris Antonetti, and Mike Chernoff of the Guardians, Brian Cashman, and about the Tampa Bay Rays front office and some of the financial gurus they have listed over there. The behind-the-scenes peek reveals how personality, strategy, and communication styles shape the chaotic drama of trade season, with AJ Preller really being at the center of it as usual. AJ Preller, who is the president of baseball operations for the San Diego Padres, is portrayed, as mentioned before, as a relentless and unpredictable deal maker, likened to a fisherman in a boat with 1,000 lines in the water. Known for making constant calls and pursuing a wide range of options, Preller's aggressive, always working style often overwhelms trade partners. Executives admire his scouting roots and ability to understand what each team values, but also warn that you can think you're close to a deal with him and then get left out in the cold because he's got so many different phone lines out there. He's going to pull the trigger on what deal is the best for him and the San Diego Padres. He's seen as sincere, but because he juggles so many negotiations, other teams are cautious when dealing with AJ Preller. AJ Preller has reportedly dealt top prospects, of course, CJ Abrams, James Wood, Mackenzie Gore, Dylan Head, Robbie Snelling, Dylan Lesko to land stars like Juan Soto, Josh Hader, Luis Ariz, and others. And he still remains unapologetic and undaunted by criticism, even after trading Soto away due to payroll constraints. As quoted in the Athletic article, what they said AJ Preller has said, quote, "We're going to trade good players to get players. We're willing to make moves." Padres' network and volume-driven approach put him in constant competition with general managers like Andrew Friedman, especially as both pursue similar stars. One rival executive had said, AJ ain't scared. Preller acknowledges the risk but embraces it. In the words of Jerry DiPoto on talking about AJ Preller, he's told me this before over the years, we're willing to do something stupid, not crazy. They go on to talk a little bit more about the Andrew Friedman, AJ Preller sense of, to a point where a lot of teams that deal with the Dodgers and the Padres never know if they're really interested in a trade or if it's just the other team trying to drive up the price for the division rival. That was laid out in the article. I find that to be fascinating. I mean, you know about, obviously, the rivalry in the stands, the rivalry on the field between the Padres and Dodgers, but a lot of teams that deal with both the Padres and the Dodgers who are constantly in pursuit of the same players always wonder whether or not one or the other, Padres or the Dodgers, are actually interested in the potential pieces that are available, or if they're just trying to drive the price up for their division rival. That's crazy. But there was a couple things in that article that I find very interesting. One, AJ ain't scared. That's not news to us. If you've watched AJ Preller deal before, and you have as Padres fans the last 10 years, you know he's not afraid to trade away top pieces. You know he's not afraid to make the big deal. In fact, he likes making the big deal. So that part's not breaking news to me. AJ Preller ain't scared. We know that. We could see it in his actions and the moves that he makes. But as mentioned before, we're going to trade good players to get players. They understand. He puts together a lot of different pieces. And in the article, if you want to read further, in The Athletic, it talks about him using his advantages of a scout and scouring from, high school games and trying to find the best talent to piece together. And he's willing to give up pieces to try to get the best talent in a Padres uniform with certain stipulations, obviously with price and everything else. But the thing that really stood out to me when it comes to AJ Preller's philosophy was what Jerry DiPoto, the Seattle Mariners president of baseball, said AJ Preller told him. We're willing to do something stupid, not crazy. I mean, that's a ballsy level of running a Major League Baseball team. And so I asked the question as we continue to be closer to that 48-hour mark at the trade deadline, knowing that the Padres have to make a move at the deadline, knowing that they probably have to make multiple moves at the deadline to improve this team. And as I mention all the time in my open, you can't punt on a Manny Machado prime here. The time to strike is obviously now for AJ Preller. But based on what this article had said, and based on how he ain't scared, and we're willing to do something stupid, not crazy, is AJ Preller fearless, or is he too reckless? We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. New lunchtime hour on 97 through the Fan, presented by the Craft Taco. We do have a good noon lunchtime hour question. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit more about AJ Preller. I find that article to be fascinating, Frank. And
it's fantastic.
It's part 1 of 3 parts. I'm sure part 2 is already out today by Andy McCauley. Did a great job. And if you're interested in like learning the personalities of some of these general managers, and this is stuff that we don't get to see all the time, and how they interact with the other GMs. I mean, I find the trade deadline, like I said, fascinating with how these guys make deals and how they're perceived.
McCullough did post today. It's 4 simple rules for navigating the MLB trade deadline without irking your peers.
Interesting. We might have to look into that. Again, I would imagine that they probably focus on the other general managers in these other part series, but that being said, who knows if AJ Preller's mentioned in the other ones. I think it's the cool part. The Dodgers Padres battle for players was interesting to me. That one really stuck out between Friedman and AJ Preller. Teams did not know if the Dodgers or the Padres were actually interested in the players that they had to offer, or if it was just calling to raise the price for the other team. That's some serious chess match going on right there, Frank.
The Dodgers don't care about the Padres, though, so it doesn't really matter.
That's right.
It's not a thing. They don't care. They don't matter.
Is that another home run? Oh, that's time for the Blue Jays?
That's from Toronto.
The home run derby has broken out at Camden Yards today.
Yeah, seriously.
14-4 in the top of the 8th. Didn't most of those runs come in one inning for Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore hit what seemed like 20 home runs in the 7th inning just now. Like we started that whole right when we started the sports thread is when they hit their first home run. They played in the 7th inning throughout the sport. Oh no, maybe not. Okay. So the Orioles put up 6 in the 6th and then 4 in the 7th. So it was over 2 innings. They hit an ungodly amount of home runs.
We had people explain the pirate hat. That's not a pirate hat.
Yeah, it's not a pirate hat. Got it.
It's a Patriot hat, basically.
Gotcha.
Colonial hat.
Gotcha.
Let's go with that instead. Where was it? I'm trying to find it in the chat. It was Colonial hat.
Yeah, I saw
what
it.
do you say? It's a Potomac hat.
Yeah, Potomac hat.
Washington crossing the river. There's a story behind it. It said Gunnar Henderson purchased a Jack Sparrow looking hat at Disneyland, and he liked the idea since he tips his hat when he rounds second on his home runs.
And Gunnar Henderson hit one of those 5,000 home runs in the last couple innings.
Hence the pirate hat. All right. How about that, Pittsburgh Pirates?
As you do.
All right. Do we think AJ Preller is fearless or too reckless? I think it's a little bit of both. I honestly, I don't think he's reckless, but the conversation of we will do something stupid, not crazy, it tells you like, okay, well, he's ready to just deal anybody at this point. I mean, define crazy. What would be a crazy trade for AJ Preller?
Trading Fernando Tatis Jr. to Texas.
To the Texas Rangers? Yeah, that would be actually crazy. That'd get you fired.
That is managerial malpractice is what that is.
Yes, that is organizational malpractice, 100%. That would be crazy. I think he's fearless. And I'd rather have a general manager that's wheeling and dealing more than a guy that just sits on his hands and just goes like, well, we only have this amount of money. There's nothing really more I can do.
You have to have both. You have to have a mixture of both if you want to be a good general manager. And I think
agree.
that Preller, for all the criticisms of Preller I've had over the years, and I've had plenty, he's not afraid to pull the trigger. He's not afraid to get burned on a deal if he thinks it's going to help. Sometimes it will, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the ones that are supposed to work don't. Sometimes the ones that aren't supposed to work do. But you need to have that fearless nature, and you also have to be a little bit mental in order to do some of this stuff.
I'd rather have a GM like that than a passive one. You don't want to be super conservative as a general manager, or especially as a fan. Like, you got to view it from a fan perspective, right? You can't have a general manager that is not really a gambler. You want the guy wheeling and dealing. You want the guy making moves. You want the guy trying to improve the roster at all costs. You don't want the crazy GM though, like trading away Luka Doncic. Okay, that might be on the crazy side.
Yeah, you went too far on the pendulum there.
We're willing to do something stupid, not crazy. I think it really defines AJ Preller as a general manager in general. You know what's crazy though? This is crazy. I think this is crazy. It's part of our noon lunchtime hour discussion. Let me ask you this question, Frank.
Yes.
I already know your answer. You're Italian like me.
Mm-hmm.
You would never do this. You'd probably get slapped upside the head. Let me ask you this question. When you buy shredded cheese, when you don't grade your own, because it's better to grade your own. I agree with that. Do you wash your shredded cheese before you use it?
Do I what?
Do you wash your shredded cheese before you use it? Does anybody do that?
Like with
water? Like you don't use soap, but like you rinse the cheese. Like you would do with fruit and vegetables to get like pesticides off of it. Would you do that
No.
with shredded cheese?
No.
I heard that yesterday and I was like, that is insane, dude.
Who does that?
I know somebody that does that. Now, the reasoning
He's
behind
not in jail?
The reasoning behind it is not totally crazy, but it leads to a point of, if you're worried about this, don't eat shredded cheese. Just grate it yourself. So, I don't know. I don't wash shredded. I was asked that question yesterday. I said, I was asked, do you wash the shredded cheese?
It's got to be done here. Hold
And
on.
I'm like, no, it's a foul.
He draws the foul.
Yeah, 100%. I said, no, I do not wash shredded cheese. That's insane. And who I was talking to said, well, somebody you know does that. And I was like, what? And then they told me who it was, our mutual friend. And I'm like, he does not. So I asked the group text. I said, just want to ask everybody's opinion on this. Does anybody wash shredded cheese?
I'm going to ask a question here for no reason
for no
at
apparent
all.
reason at all. I know the answer to at least one of you about the shredded cheese. Do you wash it? The guy that does wash the shredded cheese immediately responded, that's a random question to ask in the middle of the day. Yes, it is. Now, the reasoning behind it, I understand to an extent. Okay? Now, a lot of the shredded cheese that you buy has and somebody in the chat's on it, they have some anti-clumping agents that they put on the cheese so the cheese doesn't clump together in the shredded
bag,
cheese.
yeah.
It's like cornstarch most of the time. I don't like consuming cornstarch. Is it going to kill you? Probably not. It doesn't do damage. Kind of. So I get that. But my response to that is, well, then why don't you just grate your own cheese?
Yeah.
If you're really worried about that, I would never buy shredded cheese. I don't personally mind. It is what it is. I'm sure there's certain cheeses you can get now that don't have the cornstarch on there. But I feel like washing the cheese... That's great, Tim. I wash my shredded cheese, now up on court 12. Taking on I Lost My Fortune at the Coldplay concert. That's a great OTL team name, Tim. I wash my shredded cheese, now up on court 12. No, that's crazy. I would never do that. I would never do that. My question was, so how do you do it? Like, do you put it in a bowl full of water and then you dry it off? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you potentially do that. And wouldn't it lead to, I Google searched this, which take that for what it's worth. And little Google AI is like, even though it's to wash out the clumping agents, it is not recommended that you wash your shredded cheese because it leads to mold and all this other stuff. So I get it. But at the same time, like, what? It's so counterproductive, in my opinion.
But if you wash it off, then you're just eating clumps of cheese from the bag.
It's just what do you put it? Do you wash all the cheese or just the cheese you're going to use?
Like what?
Doesn't it start clumping together then after that?
Like what do we do here? What are we doing?
How do you
here?
dry off shredded cheese? It feels like so much work.
There's so much broken in my head right now. I can't.
Well, let me ask you this question: would you rather? And the thing is you do it because you're like, well, I don't want to shred it, but I'll wash it because I don't want the cloaking agent on there.
What you're most likely putting in your body, what that cheese is going on, is most likely going to be worse than the agent.
You got to put it in like a pasta strainer. That's also crazy.
But then is it
going to stick to the strainer?
But most shredded cheese is thin, so it'd go through the strainer.
Well, there's some very like the strainer I have for pastas. Okay, but like if you had like a regular one for those colanders, whatever, they that's what I was thinking. She's gonna get stuck.
And then it melts because you put the water too hot because you're a goober.
Salad spinner, like the fruit.
Yeah.
Somebody goes, Zach Greinke probably watches the shredded cheese. If I'm going to have shredded cheese, I would rather take the time to shred the cheese myself.
Yes.
Than to buy shredded cheese and then wash said shredded cheese. If I'm lazy enough to buy the shredded cheese, I'm not going to wash it. Yes. Now some of the grated parm has got sawdust in it. There's only certain Parmesan cheeses that I will buy, but still, I feel like the shredded cheese thing is crazy. If you want cheese, just shred it yourself. Why would you
also got to think if there's stuff in the water too. So you're putting that stuff on the cheese. You're replacing something bad with something bad.
And the more you start thinking about it, most of the stuff in America is trying to kill you anyway.
Exactly. So just die happy.
Bagged ice at the store is the worst.
Yeah.
That is the worst.
Yep.
You don't put that in your drinks. That's just cleaning your drinks. I've heard bad stories about the ice at those places and how they get bagged and everything like that.
Yeah, no, that's awful.
But anyway, like cleaning the cheese is just, to me, it seems counterproductive. Since when did you have to wash your cheese? Apparently,
I've never had to wash my cheese.
I've never, I understand washing vegetables. I understand washing fruits, right? I totally get that. A lot of them are not really clean. Wash off some pesticides, some other stuff. I totally understand doing those things. In fact, I do wash my fruits and my vegetables. But I don't understand washing shredded cheese.
If my cheese ever got to a point where it needed to be washed, it was going in the garbage.
People are like, is it the guy that puts ketchup on his taco? No, it's not. It's not Crumb.
That was honestly
not the same guy.
That was my first thought,
not
but
the
I didn't
same
want to
guy.
say it.
It's not the same guy. Grate your own cheese. But the response was, well, sometimes I don't have time to grate my own cheese. You have time to wash the shredded cheese?
It takes
the
more
same deal?
time to wash the cheese than it does to...
It's crazy.
What are we
doing? The ketchup taco thing's funny, too.
He draws the foul.
That's a foul. Do you wash your ice? Says our boy Trav.
There is one good thing that comes from the stupid things your friends do. When we talk about this stuff, we just get...
this guy.
We just get...
Washing shredded cheese, putting ketchup on tacos. Too many people that need to be shipped off to a deserted island.
No, actually, they need to be a bigger part of the show because, again, if the chat fouls out, we get our Eric Hosmer cameo.
It's true.
So keep telling your friends to do stupid things. Keep bringing it up on air. We'll have our cameo in no time.
Frankie Watkins in the chat goes, I soak my ice in hot water. This reminds me of Rookie of the Year, where the pitching coach came up with the best solution. Hot ice.
Hot ice.
Hot ice as he's choking on sunflower seeds. It's the best of both worlds. Hot ice. Such a great scene. I bet you I bet you anybody under the age of 30 has never even seen that movie. In fact, shredded cheese guy's never seen that movie.
It's a fantastically bad movie.
Ice. Choking on sunflower seeds. He gets stuck in his little
gets stuck in the locker.
The guy from Home Alone.
Yes.
Oh, it's what a great movie. What a great bad 90s movie. I took a class in college. I might have mentioned this. Baseball in the movies.
Really?
That wasn't one of them. We didn't get to watch that one.
Oh,
Angels in the
man.
Outfield. The 3 movies that Manny Machado said at the All-Star game of his 3 favorite baseball movies were the 3 movies he didn't watch because they were kid movies. Angels in the Outfield, Rookie of the Year, and I think The Sandlot were like the 3 movies we didn't watch in class. And you wonder why.
But you did. But you did watch the one about the kid general manager, though. That was one you did see because that wasn't on the list.
I don't think Little Big League.
Big League. That's what it was.
Class. We watched like 42. We watched Cobb.
You watched 42, really?
Yeah, we watched Cobb. We watched A League of Their Own. We watched The Natural. We watched Field of Dreams. Like most of the high drama.
Only reason why I say 42 is because I heard they got so many like key moments wrong in that movie. That's the only reason why I say that.
Elo hasn't seen Sandlot. That is a crime. That's a foul on Elo. You've not seen them.
He draws the foul.
We're 3 fouls away, baby. Let's go. Keep it up.
Dave Roberts washes his shredded cheese. There it is. And with that, we got to take a break. Shredded cheese washing is insane to me. Hot ice. We got hot ice. We got a new wrinkle to the Harper Manfred incident. I don't know if I want to get into that, but we got a most underrated arm potentially in baseball in the Padres. We'll talk about who that is when we come back. Plus, need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff on Sending Summer Sports Station 97 to the Fan. 12:40 on the Braden Surprenant show. Those movies that went down memory lane with with some of the people in the chat, like Angels in the Outfield. This is the best. It was the best. Michael Harrison. The amount of A-list actors and Angels in the Outfield that barely said 3 words the entire movie is crazy. Matthew McConaughey playing left field. It says like 4 lines in the entire movie. They got Danny Glover in Angels in the Outfield. God, what's that kid's name? He's in Don John. What's that guy's name? He was in.
I honestly don't know.
He was in. He was like very popular as of recently
as a child actor. Yeah.
No, he was popular in recent movies.
I've got the hot ice scene from.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the kid.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
that's his name. Yeah, the hot ice.
I got that scene ready to go.
All right, let's hear the hot ice part of that.
Key to being a big league pitcher is the 3 R's: readiness, recuperation, and conditioning. You see, after the game, a lot of guys like to ice up their arm. Still, other fellas think that heat is the way to go. But I have discovered the secret, Henry. Hot ice. That's right, hot ice. I heat up the ice cubes. It's the best of both worlds.
Brickma, a.k.a. Daniel Stern. That's immediately what I thought of when I heard about the washing of the shredded cheese. That's what it was. I heat up the ice cubes. So funny.
I love the deer in the headlights look that the kid gives him the entire
Henry
movie.
Rowengartner?
Yes.
What?
Just the what? Like you're talking to me in English right now? Wait a minute, hold on.
They go to the club. They walk up to the girls.
Yes.
Excuse us, ladies. And they're like they're gonna get talked to. Like, no. Excuse us. Start playing pinball.
Yes. He gets caught between the 2 doors at the hotel.
Oh yeah, he's like this. It's a great movie, man. It's just hilariously bad. It's great. Talking about the free food on the plane.
Yes.
He packs it up and then it's the greatest invention and he launches a fork at somebody. So phenomenal. All right.
We need a contestant for the Midday
We do
Sports
need a
Stand-Up.
contestant for Midday Sports Stand-Up. We need to get to this other deal about underrated pitcher on the Padres. Our baseball coverage on 97th Advance presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com to get a great deal on iPhone 16 Pro. If you could take me down in sports trivia, Midday Sports Standoff, you would be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Park MGM Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Motley Crue on September 19th, and a $100 gas card. Motley Crue's Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM September 12th through October 3rd. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Call in now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 to try to take me down some sports trivia, try to qualify for a trip to Vegas. We're running out here in the month of July. I don't know how many winners we have.
We don't have many, unfortunately.
So you got a really good chance if you can take me down into sports trivia today to potentially win a trip to Vegas. You'll be entered in a chance to win. We got some people calling in, and once I get the thumbs up, we'll be ready to roll. Let's get to today's Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
Today, we have Alex in Del Mar. Alex, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you guys? Good afternoon.
Good. So we got a top 10 list here today.
You love the geography questions, don't
I
you?
do love the geography questions. Yes, I do. Top 10 list. of top 10 winningest states in the Big Four sports. So winningest states in the states that have the most championships in the Big Four sports in
MLB,
MLB,
NHL, NBA, National Football League.
Exactly
Okay.
right. So
What state
Alex,
does Kansas City play? The Chiefs play in?
shut up, man. Alex, you got the first guess.
All right, I'm going to go Massachusetts.
Massachusetts is number 3 on the list.
Is this all time?
Yes.
I mean, shoot, since 2000, Massachusetts has to be number 1. The Boston championships they've won. California.
California is number 2. Alex.
Let's go New York.
New York, number 1. Braden.
Let's go with Florida.
Florida is number 9. Alex.
What about Texas?
Texas is number 8 on the list. So we're halfway there. Braden?
This one has a lot of the teams, but I don't know if they've won a lot. Oh, what about, you know what? Let's try, we're going on a limb here. Let's go Pennsylvania.
A pretty strong limb. Pennsylvania, number 4. Alex.
Oh, the
How
Phillies.
about Illinois?
Chicago.
Illinois, number 5.
We're still missing number 1?
No, we got number 1.
Oh. We're missing number 2?
We're missing 6, 7, and 10 right now.
6, 7, and 10. I think Colorado might be 10.
Negative.
God, I have so many teams. They just don't win. Broncos suck.
Alex.
We already said Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Okay. How about Minnesota?
They're
Minnesota,
notorious for
not
like
there.
losing. Will the Twins get knocked out by the Yankees every time they make the playoffs?
Yes, they do.
Georgia. Really?
Not on this list. Alex.
Oh, jeez. How about North Carolina?
No, you're both on 2 strikes. So, Alex, you win if Braden gets this incorrect.
My next guess, they got to be on here. The amount of championships they've recently won. Missouri. There we go.
Missouri is number 7. Alex, you need to get this right or it's game over.
All right. I'm going to go Indiana.
Who's in Indiana? Like the Colts and the Pacers?
It is not Indiana. It was a strong start. I was surprised. You guys really started to struggle there at the end. New York, California, Massachusetts,
My next
Pennsylvania.
guess would have been Michigan. Is that the
Yes,
last one?
Michigan was number 6. Number 10. Honestly surprised me.
It's got to be a state that doesn't have all 4 and that is just really good at one.
Mhm.
Ohio?
Nope.
Washington?
Nope.
All right, last guess.
I couldn't believe I couldn't believe this answer, if I'm honest.
Utah.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
Wisconsin.
Oh, for like Green Bay and Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, too. So,
All right, so what did you say the list was?
New York, California, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, Texas, Florida, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. That's crazy. I guess you should know but the Packers haven't won too much. Is it the Brewers?
Bucks just won a
The Bucks
championship
won.
recently.
There were 10. How many championships was the number for 10?
It doesn't say.
It
doesn't say the
the
numbers.
number.
No.
How
trust
many
me.
times did the Packers win a Super Bowl? 6, 7 times? 6 times? They're up on that list, aren't they? I mean, they won the first 2.
I'm looking right now.
Packers Super Bowl wins. They have won 4. Does that seem right?
Okay, it's not giving me. I'm gonna have to do this by team here.
Badgers don't count, Travis.
Yeah, no, it's only the Big Four sports.
It's only the Big 4 sports. They don't win enough anyway.
Packers have won 4 Super
Yeah,
Bowls.
4.
Brewers. No, Brewers would not have won the Super Bowl. Thank you.
No, Brewers World Series wins.
I don't.
They've never won one.
Yeah, so they haven't won. The Bucks would be next.
Bucks championships. They have
Bucks
2.
have won 2, so that's 6.
Wisconsin have a hockey team? I don't think they do.
Minor league, the Milwaukee Admirals.
That's it. So it's 6. Wisconsin got on there with 6.
Yeah.
2 NBA titles for the Bucks and 4 for the, unless they count are they counting the Milwaukee Braves?
I don't know. Let me actually see.
I guess that would technically count, would it not?
It would for.
Maybe they're counting. I just got a text.
They
maybe
only won
maybe they're
one,
counting.
so it's 7. They won in 57, and they won the pennant. They won the World Series in 57, and they won the pennant in 58.
What if? Do you think they're counting NFL championships? They're not Super Bowl championships, because the Packers probably won a lot of those.
Yeah. I don't dig deep into these.
I mean,
details.
we're trying to figure out why Wisconsin would be on the list. It's 6. But that's probably what it is. It's probably some of those. Anyway, good question today.
Thank you.
833-288.
You still won, which was kind of the problem.
Yeah, that's
Wisconsin's NFL team, the Green Bay Packers, has won a total of 13 NFL championships, including 9 pre-Super Bowl.
See, I don't think those should count ever. It should only be Super Bowl championships.
Could it discount the entire history of the sport up until the Super Bowl?
They don't count the AFL championships. They're all the same teams.
AFL was a different league, though.
It's all the same teams, though.
A different league.
We're either counting Super Bowls or not. The Chargers have an AFL championship. Don't want to count
I'm
that.
just reporting facts
I'm
here,
just
sir.
saying, though, like, why does the NFL get to count NFL championships and not Super Bowl?
Because it's football.
Because
it's the NFL.
Because football is stupid.
Exactly. Because football.
Because you hate the NFL.
Because football.
I think they should count. You know what? You shouldn't be able to count. Oh, look at all these championships we won before there was 20-something teams. Like half of the New York Giants championships, all the Bears championships.
Shut up, man.
I bet you
They got 4 Super Bowls.
Not that I was alive to see this, but I bet you the Chargers would have won the 1963 Super Bowl if there was one. That team would have hammered the Bears who won the NFL that year. Just saying. Playing at Balboa Stadium over here. Beat the living snot out of the Patriots that day. They were like 50-something to 6 or something like that.
That must have been a Scraby question. No, I do not go to Scraby for any of these questions. Scraby does single answer questions. We do multiple answer questions.
AFL stats count. If the AFL stats count, then I think the championship should count. What's wrong with that? I know you're not disagreeing with me. You're just trying to play devil's advocate. Yeah, hey. But, yeah, and the NCAA still counts all the championships that schools claim.
Surprised Kansas wasn't on there. You know?
I'm not surprised Kansas is not on there.
Especially recently with all the recent success the Chiefs have had.
Yeah, where do the Chiefs play, dude? Where do they play in Missouri? Okay. Missouri. They play in Missouri. 51-10 Bolts, final score of that game. Thanks, John Silva Jr., for that. All right. I want to talk about the unsung hero of the Padres pitching staff.
It was an unsung last night.
Was not unsung. Most underrated arm, potentially, in baseball? I could see how it plays out. And how does this play into the trade deadline for the Padres? Whether or not they trade somebody here, or what the plan is moving forward at the back end of the bullpen. Because this individual's done a great job all season. And so we're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to recap some of the things that we missed earlier on in the show. Obviously, with a great game last night, we'll recap a little bit more about last night's game. We'll talk more about tonight's game. And by the way, we got 2 big events in town, Frank, tonight. 2 big events in town.
We do.
We got Padres taking on Mr. Met, and we have San Diego FC starting their Leagues Cup debut against Pachuca. And the interesting thing about Pachuca, that's where Chucky Lozano started.
His childhood team.
And his childhood team. There's something they asked Chucky Lozano about Pachuca, too, that I thought was interesting on if he scores against Pachuca, would he celebrate the goal?
Because that's a thing. That is a soccer thing.
I know, but they asked him about it, and he answered. And we'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour. So a little bit of tonight's game, Sean Manaea, Ryan Berger. We'll talk about what last night's game was, more trade rumors as they come about, and the unsung hero, but most underrated arm in baseball on the Padres. Talk about that then when we come back. San Diego's Own Sports Station 97 to the Fan. Find out the Braden Surprenant Show on a Tuesday. Thanks again for joining us. We'll try to keep you updated on everything that's going on around the MLB Trade Deadline as we continue over the next couple of days. Creeping into that 48-hour window now, as the trade deadline will be on Thursday at 3 o'clock. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Let's try to talk about, we want to get into this most underrated arm in baseball that is currently on the San Diego Padres. I think a lot of you probably know who that is, but also to keep you updated on what's going on in Major League Baseball. Here's a couple reports that we got on specifically Eugenio Suarez on the trade market. Buster only. At the very least, Eugenio Suarez is hit by a pitch on Monday. Remember, he got hit last night against Cleveland. Has concerned some rival evaluators who have... Actually, no, they didn't play Cleveland. Rockies beat Cleveland last night. My mistake. Rival evaluators who have talked about dealing for Eugenio Suarez. Quote, if you pay a price like that, you're going to want to feel good about what you're getting, said one staffer. And generally, hand/wrist injuries obviously sometimes linger for hitters, which is a problem. Now, that being said, that was from Buster Only. Reporting Steve Gilbert, who writes for MLB.com, who covers the Arizona Diamondbacks on a daily basis, says some good news. Diamondbacks third baseman Eugenio Suarez said he had a CT scan and MRI today, and both were negative, no breaks. So that's... Arizona has sweated Suarez twice now getting hit by a pitch. Twice. He got hit by a pitch in the All-Star game, up in the hand-wrist area, and then he got hit again last night. How many more times is he going to play until Thursday? I mean, you basically should just not even play him in the next 2 days if you're thinking about trading him. And if you don't trade him, then you can put him back in the lineup after Thursday. But why would you continually put that guy out there? I mean, why? Why risk one of your assets to get traded at the deadline? Why risk them getting hurt? I don't understand. Now, Buster Only will be on with Gwen and Chris later on today. I just saw this report and I wasn't able to look at. I was trying to find it on ESPN.com because it popped up on my phone. Anybody that has ESPN alerts, you probably got this on your phone about some of the MLB trade deadline tracker news analysis, latest news. There's one about the Twins and the Padres on here. And it sounds like we got an update on Dylan Cease. Not going to the Twins, obviously. Quote from the article, want one of these aces? It's going to cost you. There are a number of contenders looking for a frontline starting pitcher. Mets, Cubs, Red Sox. But the prices on two of the most prominent starters, the Twins' Joe Ryan and the Padres' Dylan Cease, remain extremely high in the minds of some evaluators. Honestly, if you're the Padres, I don't think you have to trade Dylan Cease. I definitely think it makes it better than, in order to acquire talent in areas of need. But you don't have to trade him. And if the asking price is very high, maybe the Padres are like, look, we don't really want to trade Dylan Cease, but we're willing to give him up if we get more than enough. Right? More than enough. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. Because I still think there is a value. As frustrated as I think people were watching Dylan Cease pitch last night, because you see the best of both of Dylan Cease. You see the high strikeouts. He struck out the side to start the game. And then you see him giving up a grand slam before he leaves. I mean, it's a little bit of both. Right? So I think you're willing to listen. Now, if you end up trading away Dylan Cease, it has to bring you the prospect capital to improve and stock up. And then you'd have to go find somebody to replace Cease after that, which is like a Charlie Morton, or, you could find some guys that are 4 starters that might be able to fill his kind of role that he is this year. Because again, at this point in time, you're not trading Ace Cease because he hasn't been like that at all. That was one of the rumors out there. The other one that was out there was, again, the Marcell Ozuna thing. Braves moving Ozuna, question mark, possibly to the Padres, question mark. With little more than 48 hours to go before the deadline, there's movement developing around Marcell Ozuna, who has the power to reject any trade proposal. At least one team has had internal conversations about trying to work out a deal for the slugger. It'll be interesting to see if the Padres emerge as a possible landing spot. We talked about this tweet already. I don't know if that's going to be the case. In order for the Padres to acquire Ozuna, it's got to be like super cheap. And he's banged up right now anyway. I can't imagine that being too much of a fit. But that's kind of some of the latest that we've seen in terms of the trade deadline. We'll keep you updated as we can. I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more movement yet. But it has been, relatively quiet the last couple of hours. But there might be some surprises on the way. There always are. I mean, some of the big moves that has happened over the past 10 years have been with great players on deadline day. I mean, think about the big trades. The Padres have been at the center of this, or some of their players have, for the last decade plus. Juan Soto to the Padres in 2022. Max Scherzer and Trey Turner to the Dodgers in 2021. Manny Machado to the Dodgers in 2018. Yoenis Cespedes to the Mets in 2015. David Price to the Tigers in 2014. I mean, there's a lot of different spots, or a lot of big-time trades that have happened on deadline day, and we always see that kind of last dash of moves that come in after the deadline passes, of moves that get submitted before that don't get released because it's happening so fast that they can't keep up. Reporters can't keep up. It sounds like Sandy Alcantara is more likely to be traded right now. According to Jim Bowden, industry sources now think there is a real chance Alcantara will be traded before Thursday's deadline. I mean, 2 weeks ago, the Marlins were like, we're keeping him. We're going to try to trade him during the offseason. Right now, it sounds like there's going to be a real chance, and his market is picking up drastically. Bowden's report comes 2 days after Bob Nightingale of USA Today writing that teams had become convinced that the Marlins will trade 2022 NL Cy Young Award winner, whose trade stock is on the rise after he threw 7 scoreless innings against the Padres his last time out. Don't like the Padres, get you right, I guess. Alcantara has over a 6 ERA on the year, returning from Tommy John, but with the lack of frontline starting pitching available, interested clubs might be willing to talk themselves into an Alcantara upside, especially in light of his most recent outing, and of course that you would have multiple years of control. The teams listed: Cubs, Blue Jays, Padres, Red Sox, and Mets, all linked to Alcantara. Marlins obviously don't need to rush this decision. They don't owe him too much money. They're not spending a lot of money. And if Miami doesn't get the offer at its liking, they can revisit this in the offseason, where they could probably get more of a haul than during the trade deadline. A lot of interesting moves potentially to be made. Again, we're still not at the 48-hour mark. That will happen in about a couple of hours. We're at the 50-hour mark before the trade deadline, and there's still a lot that could be moved out, a lot to be moved around, a lot to be discussed. Last night in the game, which was a great game overall for the Padres, good comeback win. Talked a lot about that. We'll talk more about it in the next segment. But you got to see Adrian Morejon do really well yet again. He worked 1 2/3 innings, scoreless innings last night. He lowered his ERA to a 1.66 ERA, which is 4th best in the majors among relievers who have thrown at least 45 innings. He struck out 4 of the 5 batters he faced, while the other was a victim of Tatis' second great catch. His 162 average allowed is 5th best among relievers who had at least 150 at-bats against them. Morejon, who has allowed 1 earned run over his past 30 appearances, 29 1/3 innings, has also stranded 87.1% of runners he has inherited, which is 27 of 41. That is the best in Major League Baseball among those who have inherited at least 25 runners. He has arguably done the best job in the bullpen this year. Jason Adam was a for sure all-star. Adrian Morejon was the second most notable player that should have been an all-star outright and shouldn't have had to be a replacement all-star. Shouldn't have had to be that. He was probably the second best, if not the best bullpen arm in the Padres bullpen this season. He's been better than Robert Suarez. And so the question is, is Adrian Morejon one of the most underrated arms in Major League Baseball? I mean, he has done a phenomenal job in the bullpen as part of what has been coined the phrase of the four horsemen back there. You get the accolades of Jason Adam, right? You see the high fastball and that splitter changeup that Estrada throws. I mean, he was the one guy that didn't make the All-Star team, but probably was good enough to get close to one. A couple of rough outings right before the All-Star break probably made sure he wasn't in there. And then Robert Suarez obviously leading in saves, but I think that could have been a lot of other players for the Padres if they had them close instead. So I look at this potential trade deadline, right? And we've talked about ad nauseum, potentially trading away Robert Suarez. We've talked about what that would be like for the bullpen. I think everybody moves up a spot. You have Adrian Morejon on the roster for another year. I mean, he's the guy that needs to be extended if possible. We've talked about he's still at a young age where you could technically stretch him out to be a starter if you wanted to, at least give it a shot. Padres didn't sound like really interested in doing that this spring training. You never really know. I mean, Michael King was kind of like that too. I mean, he started to get stretched out as a starter around this time in his career at the age of that Adrian Morejon's at. He's only like 26. But to me, I mean, I'd love to have Adrian Morejon part of the team longer term. I mean, if you give him an extension for a bullpen piece, you're not going to be giving him an extension that's like a closer contract. But at least buy out some of his younger years, and then you can let him walk if you want to decide to do that. But that being said, here's the question now with Adrian Morejon. I do think he's one of the most underrated arms in baseball. He's probably one of the best arms in your bullpen, most reliable. But he does well with runners on base where Robert Suarez does not. If you do not trade Robert Suarez, is there an argument to be made that Adrian Morejon should be the closer in the postseason? Should Adrian Morejon be the closer after the trade deadline? Regardless if you trade Robert Suarez or not. I think there's a case for it. Now, he is a lefty, which you want to be able to use him against lefties late in games. Your other lefty options are Wandy Peralta and Yuki Matsui. So if you move Morejon to the closing role and have him pitch in the ninth inning, you're going to have to use those other guys in high leverage situations to go against lefties if you want the lefty-lefty matchup. So there is a risk at play there. But I do think you need to reevaluate the closing position if you decide not to trade Robert Suarez. What do you think? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, got more to talk about. Let's recap a little bit more about last night. And Padres aren't the only event in town tonight. We'll get you a preview of San Diego FC and Pachuca as they start the Leagues Cup tonight at 8 o'clock, which you can actually watch on Fox Sports 1, as well as the Apple TV Plus subscription with the League Pass. And we'll talk more about that later on San Diego's number one sports station, 97 to the Fan. Show's flying by on a Tuesday. We got another game tonight. We got 2 games tonight. We got Padres Mets tonight, and we got San Diego FC Pachuca tonight. It's a big night in San Diego in the summertime, huh? Leagues Cup.
Absolutely.
We'll talk more about the Leagues Cup in just a little bit. But should be another fun time at the ball. You going to the ballpark again tonight?
Yes, I am.
All right. We'll both be there tomorrow. Doing our show live from the loft. Always see our guys Rod and Nate out there. If you're going to the game tomorrow, get there early. Come hang out with us at the loft. It's a great place. Get a drink, hang out. Mind if any of us have a nice Wednesday tomorrow, huh? Frank and I are going to have a good Wednesday tomorrow. But you guys can join our great Wednesday tomorrow at the loft. We will start at 10 in the morning. You won't be able to get in there by then. But once you get into the park, once the gates open, come out, hang out with us. We'll be recapping the night before, and we'll be getting ready for the final game between the Mets and the Padres. Hopefully going for a Padres sweep and not a rubber match on Wednesday. But we'll see what happens tonight. We'll talk more about tonight's game in just a little bit. But Rod's got his Mets cards he's going to put in the urinals. Frank's going to just have to hold it the entire day. Not going to do it. Let's get back to your phone calls. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Rick in Lakeside, you're the Braden Surprenant Show. Rick, what's going on, man?
Yeah, you guys are talking about relief pitchers. I've been wondering what's going on with Sean Reynolds anyway.
He's down in AAA right now.
And
they're just rotating the guys. They're rotating the guys through. I've heard a lot of people ask about Sean Reynolds. Obviously, they like what they see out of Sean Reynolds. And when it's time for him to come back up, they're going to bring him back up. I mean, there's not really much more I can say on Sean Reynolds, but he is a bullpen piece. I think he's a good bullpen piece for the Padres. I mean, this season, 0-1 to the 3.97 ERA in 17 games, has started 1 game for the Padres in 2025, but back down in El Paso pitching, and there's going to be a lot of rotation of arms right now at the major league level, and when it's time to have him flip back up into the major leagues, they're going to have him do that. I mean, I've had a lot of people reach out going like, why is he on the Padres right now? Because he could potentially be a closer of the future. Maybe he could, maybe he can. I don't really know. But that's part of the deal with some of the pitching right now and the Padres. It's going to take the whole 40-man roster plus more. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Marcus in Menifee, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Funky butt-loving guys.
To quote Rookie of the Year that we talked about earlier, what do you got for us today?
Well, let's see. I was talking to my wife about it last night because we were listening to the game about Suarez. It's gotten to a point where he's just too predictable when he gets behind and working from the stretch because he only has a 2-pitch mix. And I like the idea of either having Estrada or Morejon as our closer, but Schulte talks about lanes all the time, and I'm all for that too. And even in the postseason, that's my take on it, guys. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, Marcus. Yeah, the closing situation is very interesting for the Padres. I honestly think that's why it's more susceptible to potentially trading away of a guy like Robert Suarez. Because, and if you look at the situation of Robert Suarez, right, he's got a couple of opt-outs. He's probably not going to opt in. He's probably going to decline the options, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's making, what is he making, like $10 million this year? I think he's set to make $8 million, something like that, but he's in the $8 to $10 million range as I pull up the payroll from Fangraphs, as I try to remember off the top of my head what it was. 9.2 towards the luxury tax. He's making $10 million this year. It goes down to $8 million in 26, and it goes to $8 million in 27, and then he's a free agent in 28. He's not going to pitch for anything less than 15 to 20 million. I'm sure his agent thinks, and they think they can get a big deal. And here's the thing with Robert Suarez. He's 34 years old. He's going to be 35 next year. for next year's season. This is like the biggest kind of situation. I mean, honestly, this is the most he's ever made, right? He was working construction not too long ago. Robert Suarez was able to work his way to Japan, pitch in Japan. Padres picked him up from Japan. And so this is his best opportunity to make money. He's not re-signing with the Padres. First of all, he's going to opt out. Second of all, he's not going to sign for anything less than $10, $15 million a year, which the Padres, I'm sure, don't want to pay him. Because I honestly don't think Robert Suarez is worth that kind of cash. But from his perspective and from other teams in baseball, he's going to get a contract like that. That doesn't mean the Padres should pay for a contract like that. I mean, if you look at some of the other closer deals, Josh Hader got 5 years, $95 million. I don't think Robert Suarez is as good as Josh Hader, so he's probably not getting that much, but Hader's getting $19 million a year. How has that worked out for the Astros? Pretty decent so far. His first year wasn't great. It got better. The other big contract that was handed out was by Frankie's Mets, Edwin Diaz. 5-year deal, $102 million. He's got a club option in 2028, and he can opt out after 2025 or 2026. He's getting $21.5 million this year, and then $18.5 next year. I mean, that's kind of the standard for closers right now in Major League Baseball. Edwin Diaz opt out at the end of the year, Frank?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Can Edwin Diaz get more than 18.5 next year on the open market?
No.
I don't think so either. How has the Edwin Diaz contract worked out for the Mets?
Especially if he's going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic again.
Too soon.
No, he is.
I know.
He's already said he is.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's been fine. I mean, he hasn't been bad. He hasn't fallen off. I don't think he's as good as he was when he got before the injury.
Is he worth $18 million a year? Is that worth a closer?
I mean, no.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
If I got to pay around $17 to $20 million for a closer, I'd rather just keep rolling through other bullpen arms. Tanner Scott got 4 years, $72 million. Like, I don't think Robert Suarez is better than Tanner Scott. I mean, this year he might be. But Tanner Scott got 4 years, $72 million. He's done. 15 towards the AAV, 16 this year, 16 next year, 2020. And then he's got a $5 million club option. The 2029 club option says option only if qualifying injury, which means he probably loses that option now, right? Is he out
from
for
the
the
way
year?
I hear it, I believe he is.
Yeah, so he'll lose that option. But again, like Tanner Scott's getting 16 a year. How much did Kirby Yates get? There's no way he got a lot. He got $13 million. 1 year, $13 million. Robert Suarez is better than Kirby Yates at age 38. He's going to get more than $13 million. So in order to keep Robert Suarez, you're going to have to pay at least $15 million. At least a year. Do you think he signs for 15 a year, Frank?
No.
I don't think he signs for 15 a year. He might sign. Do you think he signs for 16 a year? I mean, he's probably going to get like 18. I bet you he signs for a deal that's close to Tanner Scott's contract, 4 years, 72.
I just saw something on Spotrac right now that we can have some fun with, especially tomorrow with a shorter show. They have a trade machine on the Spotrac now. I don't know if they just added that. I don't know if
they finally have the trade machine. They used to have that thing before, and then
I don't know if
then all of a sudden you had to start paying for it, and I'm like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
I don't know if they have it just because it's the deadline
season.
It's a beta. It's an MLB Trade Machine beta, but that's something we could have fun with tomorrow, especially with a shorter show. Just throw stuff through.
Just throw a bunch of stuff against the wall.
Just
and
throw
see
stuff
if it
through the
sticks.
trade machine.
Oh man, that's what everybody wants to hear.
Well, no, I mean, like we try to do legitimate trades. Like, what would it take to get?
Well, you know what? That's a little project that you can work on at the press
Robert.
box today.
Or we could do it live because we
like
do
to
all
plan
of our
shows
stuff.
on the
We do all of our stuff live, so may as well.
That's what makes our show fun. You get to see
Exactly.
the inner workings of our show all the time, live on air.
You get to see all of the not motions of my brain working in real time.
Like where the Kansas City Chiefs play.
Exactly.
The Robert Suarez thing's interesting. Even if you don't trade him, I don't think he can close for you in the playoffs. I said that last year. There wasn't major blowups, but again, the Padres got shut out for 24 straight innings. So, I could see where that could be a kind of saved him. But it was second half of last year wasn't very good. This year it's been okay. I mean, I know he's got a lot of saves, but for a closer that it's expected to make $16 to $20 million a year in his next contract, I don't want his ERA to be as high as it is.
Oh, you can retain salary on this thing too?
Oh boy. Look at what we found. We have unlocked a new rabbit hole for Frank to run down. We'll see how he does with that. Let's preview tomorrow's game. Let's preview tonight's game when we come back. Sean Manaea and Ryan Berger. We will also talk a little bit about San Diego FC's game tonight, their match tonight against Pachuca. 2 games to preview with 2 games in town in San Diego. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, taking up 2 o'clock with Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Ello. They're going to be joined by Buster Only this afternoon. See what Buster's got on potential trade rumors and things. He's mentioned the Marcell Ozuna thing. I'm kind of out on that deal. I don't really want that to happen. Dennis Lynn, again, continuing to report that the Padres, even though the Red Sox have said no on Jarren Duran, continue their pursuit there as well. But anyway, they're coming up at 2 o'clock, and then it's the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. One final segment previewing big games tonight in San Diego on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. All right. Got some news to pass along. Just came down at 1:27 Pacific time. Ken Rosenthal, everybody's favorite baseball writer in town. Our live studio audience does not like Ken Rosenthal, let me tell you. They boo every time.
They might have a little bit of a delayed reaction, but they got it.
They boo
they
every
don't
time.
like him.
Anyway, this is what the latest report. This guy stinks. We need the SpongeBob. We need the SpongeBob clip of that. That needs to be added. Thank you to Nick Monte for reminding me on that. That needs to be a drop. Oh my God, this guy stinks. Anyway, Ken Rosenthal reported this with Chandler Rome on The Athletic. Houston Astros, and some of you guys in the chat already saw this. Houston Astros owner Jim Crane fancies star power. San Diego Padres right-hander Dylan Cease is one of the biggest stars available in the trade market. Perhaps it should be no surprise then that Dylan Cease is at the top of the Astros wish list as the trade deadline nears, according to the sources briefed on the team's discussions. Cease, who's 29, would stabilize the Astros' injury-depleted rotation for the rest of the season and join all-star right-hander Hunter Brown and left-hander Framber Valdez to give the team a potentially dominant trio in a postseason series. The Astros, while dealing with lingering injuries to designated hitter Yordan Alvarez, all-star shortstop Jeremy Pena, and all-star third baseman Isaac Paredes, are also in the market for a hitter. Names to consider: Minnesota Twins infielder Willie Castro, Marlins outfielder Jesus Sanchez, and Diamondbacks outfielder Jake McCarthy. For Crane, an owner who traded twice for Justin Verlander and once for Zach Greinke and tried to acquire Blake Snell and Josh Hader from the Padres during the 2023 deadline, Cease surely is a more interesting target. Now, whether or not what the Padres could get back for him does not say, but it sounds like the Astros have put Dylan Cease at the top of their wish list.
That was the first thing I thought is, what are you going to give back? Because the Astros are contending. And Seattle has made it quite obvious that they're trying to nip at their heels. So what would you give back in return for Dylan Cease? It's not going to be prospects, because the Padres are in the fight also.
Remember, we've said this before. You can trade for prospects and flip prospects.
With this close to the deadline, though, it's getting close to crunch time.
Did we not just go through the whole, like, he's the fisherman guy?
No, I get it. I understand that. But if this is a new team and a new report in with this little time left, that's a hard flip.
I think they could do it. Maybe the Astros have somebody that the Guardians want, and you get Stephen Kwan out of it. Maybe the Astros have somebody Miami wants, and you get Sandy out of it. I mean,
I'm not saying that it's like not possible. I'm just saying that is a tight turnaround window. That's all I'm saying.
Is this your first AJ Preller trade deadline?
You know, I've dabbled.
He flips guys fast. Do you want to know where the Astros farm system ranking is right now?
Go for it.
According to MLB.com, now it could have changed.
The ones that we don't trust because teams value. Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
Do you want to guess where they're at?
Top 5?
Oh, no.
Last?
No, that'd be the Angels.
Oh, okay.
29th.
Oh,
out of 30.
Well, there you go.
The this is from Written in March. The Astros continue to rank near the bottom of our biannual talent rankings, yet keep winning, making their 8th straight playoff appearance in 2024, while getting contributions from unheralded prospects such as Spencer Arrighetti and Ronel Blanco. Despite their current number 29 standing, the system boasts its strongest group of position players, something the Padres don't have, in years, led by right-hander Miguel Uyola. I totally butchered that. There's no way that's how you say his name. Several of its best pitching prospects performed well at the 2 highest levels in the minors last year. 29th. Who knows? Maybe they'll give something up. Just because they put him at the top doesn't mean, they can acquire him. Baseball America at the beginning of the season had the Astros farm system at, oh boy. It is, we're still scrolling.
We are
and
still
it
scrolling.
is 29th again. Okay.
Oh boy.
Maybe trading for prospects with an organization has a worse farm system than you is not a great idea.
So it's starting to seem like my worries are a little bit less dumb now, aren't they?
But I think if you're going to trade Dylan Cease,
it's going to be for prospects, which is something that the Astros don't have.
Yes. Okay.
Well, so we're trading Dylan Cease for something that they don't have and we don't want. Okay, that's cool. I'll just sit over here though because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I can't wait for him to make like 1,500 moves. It's going to be 2020 all over again. You're like, oh, what? You're going to walk into the clubhouse. We're going to walk into the clubhouse on Friday, and it's going to be like Patrick Starr underneath with all the people under the rock. Who are you people? Like, no idea who anybody is. Drastically different roster.
Oh boy,
that's another great drop we can have. We got, you know what? There's a lot of great SpongeBob drops. Name tags being handed out. California wine mixer here. Hi, my name is so and so. I'm a new member of the Padres. What happened to that guy? I don't know. He's on a different team now. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Will in Oceanside. Will, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Not much. How you been?
Doing well.
Well, I wanted to let you know that I am very pleased with the way it's worked out with Bryce Johnson. I know that we had him, then we let Pittsburgh get him, then we got him back, and he's on our radar, and everybody's trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what exactly are we going to do with this guy? And we've been needing to come up with a plan for left field, and we've been shopping for a veteran left fielder. And I'm wondering, could we get by this season with Bryce? I mean, he's showing that he can hit at the big league level. He seems to get along and play well with the other outfielders. I kind of wanted to get your take on that, and I'll take it off the air.
I like Bryce Johnson. I think he's a member of the. I think he's secured a roster spot on the team. Now, he's probably still going to have to sweat out till Thursday. But I think Bryce Johnson's done a good enough job to be a part of this roster for the second, post-deadline portion of the season. I think he's a good bench piece. I think he's a good fourth outfielder. He's honestly brought the Padres what you would think Brandon Lockridge would have brought the Padres at the beginning part of the season. So I don't mind him being a part of the team. I think he's earned his spot on the team. I think he's played very well for the San Diego Padres. Did a really good job. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's talk about tonight's games, as the Padres will take on the Mets and San Diego FC will take on Pachuca. What do we got on tonight's game, Frank? As somebody that went there last night, somebody who's obviously emotionally involved with said matchup, you called the Padres win yesterday.
I did. I called it.
What do we got tonight? Sean Manaea, 1-1, 2.19 ERA, going against his former team, the Padres, in which he had said in a post-Padres world how he didn't try in San Diego, and he admitted all this other stuff, and he's kind of reinvented himself now for watching Chris Sale pitch. What do we got in Sean Manaea tonight?
I think, first of all, I just hope the game is shorter than it was last night. We were in the fifth inning, like 2 hours in. I'm like, come on, I can't do this anymore. As far as Manaea goes, I think a solid outing. I don't think he's going to go as long as he can. This is his fourth start coming back from injury. So I think it could be another long night for the Met bullpen. As far as Burgert is concerned, I think Frank hates baseball. There it is. Thanks, Adam. Love you too. As far as Burgert is concerned, I think another solid night is coming from him. The Mets, if they want to win tonight, the Mets are going to need to play mistake-free baseball the way the Padres did last night. I think that's the only way that they are going to win. If the Mets are throwing the ball and kicking the ball all over the infield the way they were last night, I don't think they win. If they play straight up, if they play fine, I think it'll be a solid night. It'll be another very close game.
Yeah, the Mets last night were playing with it was Curb Your Enthusiasm music last night with them in the infield.
There were a couple plays like McNeil kicking the ball into right field. That was not a routine play, so you kind of get cut a little slack there, but there were a couple plays last night that just made you scratch your head, especially Soto nearly throwing the ball into center field, trying to get Bogarts in the ninth inning.
Soto's. So I don't.
Gregory Soto.
Gregory Soto. They texted Frank this. They're like, "What do we stir up over there at the ballpark?" Well, we know that Gregory Soto's not great.
Yeah,
not a great addition.
No, I said you need more than just Gregory Soto for the bullpen.
I would like to see the offense for the Padres tonight kind of replicate what they did last night. It'd be nice for them to put a couple of these games together in a row and see if they can build off of last night, which they built off of the last two games in St. Louis. See if they can start building up some of their offense and see if they could do it without some of the bats that they are still looking for at the trade deadline. This is a big series for the Padres and the New York Mets. And it's a big series in terms of obviously impact for the Padres for the postseason, but also they got to try to keep pace with the Dodgers who got the Reds tonight. It'd be nice if the Padres took 2 out of 3 and the Dodgers took 2 out of 3, in which the Padres did not lose any ground and then they gained ground on the Reds. It's kind of hit and miss with the Dodgers-Reds series right now in terms of LA, trying to track down LA, but also trying to fend off the Reds. You can look at it as a win-win. You can look at it as a loss-loss, lose-lose, should I say. But if the Padres continue to, do damage at home, it's going to benefit them, and they'll maybe creep up a little bit on LA and push themselves away from Cincinnati. So something to watch for. Tonight, we also have San Diego FC in action. They start the Leagues Cup and their first Leagues Cup match ever. They have Pachuca. Pachuca sits atop of the Liga MX table. San Diego FC sits atop of the Western Conference table in the MLS. It should be a fun matchup tonight. And it's the, first of the next couple of Leagues Cup matches coming up here in the next 8 days. So this is a pivotal stretch. San Diego FC is going to play 3 Leagues Cup matches the next 8 days, all at Snapdragon Stadium, before they resume their MLS leading regular season at 14-7-4 on August 9th. They do remain atop the Western Conference, as mentioned before. San Diego FC is navigating a new challenge, replacing the offensive firepower of Milan Iloski, a local star that was sold to Denmark after leading the team with 10 goals in 14 matches as he returned
on his loan. Yes.
With his departure, San Diego FC has remained defensively solid, but they have been lacking kind of that striker spot. Thomas Angel has done good defensively, but he was even sub for in the game on Friday that we went to last week. And the offensive production has declined since Iloski has departed. And it's declined significantly. Just 2 goals in 3 games since Iloski officially left. Angel is 22. He has filled in with energy and effort, but no goals or assists in his last 4 appearances. Injured striker Marcus Ingvarsson remains out, and the club recently signed 2 midfielders to add depth ahead of the League's Cup grind. And San Diego FC, again, doing a great job with attendance. They draw over 28,000 fans per game, 4th in the MLS, and maintain strong leadership under Mikey Varas and their captain, Jeppe Tverskov. But the glaring issue is clear, and we don't really have time to really dive into this, but let me ask you this, Frank. Mm-hmm. Does San Diego FC do they need to make a splash signing at striker?
Yes.
In order to maintain 100%. What they've been able to do.
And we talked about it during the game, is they don't really have that attack-minded striker. They've got a couple of false nines. For those of you who don't know what's in soccer terms, a false nine is more of an attacking midfielder, but I think they classify it as a center forward. They don't really have that attack-minded, goal nose for the goal striker that they really need. They tried it with a couple different players. They found their niche with Iloski, and then unfortunately had to go back on loan. But that they do need a serious nose for goal striker, and that all that will do is help Dreyer and help Lozano, because they tried to play every ball in the attacking zone through those two and just hope Angel was in the right spot, and it did not work for them for them on Friday night.
Tonight against Pachuca, it is Chucky Lozano's original club going against for the first time. Kind of sprung a little springboard for Chucky Lozano to go into Europe. Obviously played for Team Mexico for a long time. Now here with San Diego FC, focal point. Won't celebrate against Pachuca if he scores a goal. Soccer thing.
Good. You don't celebrate against your former teams, especially in their home. So
he won't be not doing that if he does score for San Diego FC tonight. Big game, Padres Mets coming up 6:40. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40, as well as the 8:00 match for San Diego FC and Pachuca. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. See you guys at the Loft tomorrow. 97 through the Fan.